Hey, happy Tuesday.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. We are Toucher and Hardy, 617-779-0985. We're in the Town Fair Tire Studios. We are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. And you can watch us on YouTube. Search 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube and smash the subscribe button. Smash it. It's as simple as that. Go nuts.
Fred, I'm sorry if I'm distracted this morning. I'm looking at a highlight reel from NY Style and NY Times Instagram feed of the Met Gala last night. Oh, the pageantry, the fashion. What? I don't even say bucket list because there's no way. You know, I got a better chance of getting onto Augusta National than I do of being asked to attend the Met Gala. But one day, a boy can dream. That's that. As if we didn't know enough about Brady before he started going to the Met Gala. That's when we knew. Okay, he's not one of us. I don't know what he is. You know, the greatest quarterback of all time. Blah blah blah. The people who go to this thing and how they dress up for it and the things that go on there.
Yeah, it's like a Halloween party.
Well, it's not. It's beyond Halloween. It is just they are living like an entire existence with which I am unfamiliar. I don't have any idea how these people think and what they do with their lives. Because anybody would dress up and go to this thing like Tom Brady did. I don't know you. I don't know what it is to be you.
Girls, it's like the Super Bowl for some women, and some women I know were like into it, and the amount of guys that wear devil themed costumes as if it's somehow, ooh, how taboo, the dark arts. There's dudes that. They'll wear like cloaks and a hat with horns.
Well, the theme for this year's Met Gala was nature and fairy tales.
And now what happens once you're there?
You stand around and probably feel like a total a-hole because you're dressed up like a tree or you're dressed up like a goblin fairy.
By the way,
people are excited about this. Oh my God, I can't wait.
It's something for women. I mean, it's gay people. I mean, it's for gay guys. It's for fashionistas.
I know plenty of gay guys who would not be caught dead.
I didn't say it was for every gay guy. I said I'm gonna go. Call me stereotyping, but I'm gonna say the fashion industry's got some gay people in it.
You know, you were so.
I didn't mean to
homophobic.
It really is homophobia. I'm gonna say. The theater industry and the fashion industry, the higher percentage of gay population than I would say the bowling, professional bowling. I'm going to go so far as to say that. If you took all the professional bowlers in the world, let's say 8% of them are gay. If you took all the people in fashion that are men,
right,
75% are gay. There you go.
I'm going to look it up. What percentage of professional bowlers are gay?
Can you Google that?
Not all of them are going to have the balls to come out because I would imagine it's an old-fashioned, Brunswick is an old-fashioned company.
Hardy, he's right. That number is probably inconclusive.
Well, what do they say? 1 out of 10 people are gay? And so that means, let's say bowling's a little bit less than that because gay people tend to not... where I would imagine they don't dress, many gay people, if they are into fashion, wouldn't want to dress like a bowler.
Yeah. Here's an article from May of 2011 in the Las Vegas Review-Journal. 29-year-old Californian Scott Norton was planning to inform or disclose. This is so bad. He planned to disclose his homosexuality to the PBA, the Pro Bowlers Association, that week. It's like, it was an oddly nerve-wracking email. I looked at it and threw out my emotions. I was feeling the anxiety of coming out again. Up until Thursday, I didn't feel the need to say, hi, I'm Scott and I'm gay. But it's something important to say. Why? Was an issue with the bowling tournaments?
I mean, in all seriousness, I would imagine if that's like your profession and that's the world you are in, and there's no openly gay bowlers, I mean, as silly as it sounds to us, because like who bowls? That's I mean for the guy, it's a big deal.
This is one of the last industries where the subject is off limits.
I was right. I knew that it was a taboo in the bowling industry. I could feel it.
So not everyone has come out. In fact, very few people.
Well,
who are gay.
no one has come out according to this article.
Wow.
Well, but real quick, I just want to get into this because we're going to be so much Bruins and Celtics today. It's going to be a very heavily sports focused show today. A couple things about the Tom Brady roast that I've learned that one of them you might know. Okay, first of all, remember how I said they weren't going to be allowed to talk about the divorce, and that was obviously wrong. Mm-hmm. A listener told me, and I think he might have heard from the same people, that that I misunderstood that you were not allowed to talk. And listen to this: you were not allowed to talk about Giselle banging their pool guy while they were married. Did you even know that was a rumor?
I didn't know that was a thing.
Or like something about like a pool guy. Like you weren't allowed to like talk about her like having
That's
sex
the
with
first time I've heard that.
like having sex with other people. Now this was a listener.
Okay.
And he was like, "Did you hear this, and this?" And I'm like, I heard something about Giselle and like the marriage, and I thought like you weren't allowed to talk about like basically the things around the divorce. And then Nikki Glaser was on Howard Stern, and she said they weren't going to talk about the kids, which just makes sense.
Yeah.
I didn't even think him kissing his kid on the lips was a big deal. Like I don't even know why that became a thing.
Well, even if it were a thing, that's just something I don't even know if the comedians would need to be told not to do that.
I don't think
you're not
that.
gonna
No,
talk about race
she
kids.
said that they kind of that. I can't remember the clip I saw. I saw it on Instagram. I thought she did such a good job. I watched the clip, and she said that.
I saw this. Not to cut you off, Fred, but I saw the same clip, and she told a couple of the jokes that she didn't tell.
It's
And
good she left him out.
that's exactly what I thought. I'm like, you were right to leave that one out.
Well, it's also got to be hard because he's on a screen, like in the corner of a room. Like he's not in the studio. So
Still?
Oh yeah.
No kidding.
You know Craig Gass? Like I talk to Craig Gass all the time. Craig Gass, we go through fluctuations of friendship.
Oh.
I've seen that.
And we have commonalities.
Right around the Super Bowl is when I get a good glimpse of that.
Yeah, we have commonalities. And he's
Okay.
friends with Sebastian, the guy who did the Tugger and Maz thing. And,
Yeah.
and so like I talk to him, say a couple times a month now.
Okay. Wow,
We're
all
back
right.
on.
All right.
Okay.
And I guess he claims, I don't know. I'm not. If it's not true, and you're a big Stern fan, I don't know. He says he's been doing Stern a lot. Now I don't know if that's true. He just says it. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he said that Stern, just the agoraphobia is like that. He's just I don't know. He didn't say he's agoraphobic. He said that he's just not coming into the studio. I think Stern admits he's not a fan of leaving the house, right? You listen to that. Don't you listen to him sometimes?
Very rarely anymore. I listen to replays of like old stuff on the weekends now. That's what I'll end up listening to. But during the week,
Okay.
I can't tell you last time I listened.
Yeah, I think that he went out to like dinner or something, and he made a big deal about it, like that he went out to dinner. So I'm under the impression he's not a fan of leaving the house. And like when the richer you get, the more your eccentricities can take over because you have the money to indulge them. It's like not always the greatest thing. So anyway, but
Here's a Reddit page. Apparently Howard got COVID like 4 months ago,
yeah.
and he said, "Now can we return to the studio? It's been 4 years of being away from the studio, and exodus by staff and whack packers have decimated what content he'll be able to put out. He needs at least 6 people rotating in and out of the studio to have a show worth listening to. Otherwise, it's a little more than a monologue."
Yeah, so I don't think he's been in studio since COVID. I think he came in for Bruce Springsteen. Like I think he's been in like twice.
And maybe Billy Joel.
I don't think he was there for Billy Joel, but I could be wrong.
I've seen him. I've seen clips of him in studio with Billy Joel.
Okay, so they were in the same room. You're sure of it? They're in the same picture.
It looked to me. Look,
Were there
I didn't-
guitars
I didn't
in the
see
background?
One shot of the two of them.
Okay, with their guitar, because the studio that he has at home. Because the only time I see it is on Instagram. The studio he has at home, and I love Howard Stern. He's part of the reason I'm in radio. Is I thought he was great. I just don't listen to him anymore. But there's guitars in the background That's his home studio.
I did not see guitars in the back.
Okay, so maybe he was there for Billy Joel. I would imagine that's a good chance if there was a guest he'd be in there. I think he came in for Paul Simon. Oh, I wish we could have Paul Simon. 4 hours of Paul Simon.
You know, I read that Paul Simon biography. It was, written with his consent or with, his help. So it's not a flat out autobiography, but it's authorized by him. And Paul Simon, kind of a dick.
Yeah, that's kind of the consensus.
Huh.
You'd think Garfunkel was the dick, but he wasn't.
Well, Garfunkel was just a problem. You remember the concert in Central Park? It was a huge live double album. They got done with it. And it totally bums me out whenever I hear stuff like this because I listened to that thing a lot. I thought it was awesome. I thought the musicians on there was a drummer named Stevie Gadd who was playing on it, who I idolized when I was learning to play the drums. And it was just great. It was great. It was great. In that book, Paul Simon said Art was unhappy with his vocals because he had a bit of a cold that week. So he went back into the studio and overdubbed all of his vocals from the concert in Central Park for the live album. Like, what? That's not even him singing live at the concert? Nah, most, if not all of it, is just Art Garfunkel in the studio recreating what he sang that night.
Well,
they did a multi-track recording of the live concert.
Well, Kiss Alive and Kiss Alive 2 are no live albums either. They're basically overdubs in the studio. And just one last thing about and I just read this. This isn't from anyone associated with the event, but it's true. What you don't see from Kreischer and Segura, or Kreischer and Segura bombing, is that at the end, Kreischer pulls out like a fake bag of Coke. That they didn't show that on the TV, but he pulls it out.
Yeah.
Were we talking about that? Oh no, it was off the air yesterday. Someone else told me this. Somebody who had. Did you know there were people from the station who were either supposed to go or did go to that thing?
No, this station?
Really?
Who?
Well, Kelly was supposed to go, but I think on her own. But I think web guy Tim was there.
Tim Skakowicz?
He posted some photos. Maybe he wasn't there, but Kelly. Anyway,
he was just lingering in front of the Staples Center, or whatever the hell it's called now.
Look at are you on his Instagram right now?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. No, I'm talking to Wallach, who's
No,
over there
I'm
pecking
not.
away.
I am. It's not. I am not on Tim Staskowicz's.
Anyway, someone else.
I mean, we all are.
Someone else went. Let's just say knowledge of what was going on, saying all kinds of rails being blown. Every time those guys would, and you saw toward the end of the show, people going back and forth, behind the dais. Apparently, they were coming back out and the rims, their nostrils look like the rims of margarita glasses.
No.
Just back there blowing rails.
Maybe Bert was not. Maybe it was real Coke, but apparently it was like a big bag. Like it was a non-traditional amount of cocaine. It would be quite an expensive batch. But they do love watches.
Yeah.
All right. The Bruins won last night. Who knew? Less than 48 hours of rest. They come out. They look good for the majority of the game. There was a little second period.
First 5 minutes of the game were a little shaky too.
Well, in the first 10 minutes of the second period were no good. But they look. They know how to get past the Bobrovsky. They know exactly where to put the puck.
And they started the right goaltender, Fred.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. Good. I'm glad they won. Believe me, I'll take every win we can get. All right, I'll be back. I'll be back. We can get. I said we, and then I questioned my use of we as the Bruins, but I meant the show could get. So then I said I. We'll be back in just a moment.
Get up.
The cat is finally out of the bag.
Get up.
We're back. Toucher and Hardy.
Get up.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Did you catch a game last night?
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy, and ladies and gentlemen, your Boston Bruins, less than 48 hours from their Game 7 win, unexpected win in overtime against Toronto. Brandon Carlo has a child. He shows up just before game time.
Oh, my God. What a story that was.
Right. Thanks. See ya. I got to get on a plane. Fly to Florida.
Good for him.
I'll be back later.
He was there. He did what... that's the perfect thing.
Well, Rudy
He was
Gobert
there.
missed the
He did.
missed the Timberwolves game because he had a kid.
Yep.
What a puss.
But that's not how the game started. As you were watching the Bruins and Panthers last night, the first thing I noticed, a lot of open ice in this game compared to what it looked like against Toronto. Wow. Wide open passing lanes for as heavy as Florida likes to play. Not a lot of big hits going on. They were allowing each other to kind of skate around, especially in the first period. Sergei Bobrovsky misplaying a couple of pucks. He goes behind the net on one. He's just out of position on another. I thought, this is a much different game.
Yeah, I was in the car between the first and second periods, and I'll give Beers really good. He's going to be on the show at 8:20, but he was really good. He said, it was nothing after the first period, and he said, Bobrovsky, because I was like, oh, but Bobrovsky looks great. Like, he's made all these, like, big saves, and Beers is like, he's doing it in he doesn't look like himself. It's like an unconventional way he's playing goal. And sure enough, they definitely had a recipe. I mean, if you want to know about game planning for a goalie, they game planned for him because they scored every goal the exact same way. Not the exact same way where they were on the ice, but to the exact same part of the net in terms of height. Under the bar, if you'll notice.
Yeah, well, he wasn't quite like Tim Thomas cartwheeling across the crease, but there were a couple of times when he was flailing.
He looks uncomfortable. Looked very uncomfortable for the entire evening. And I see where Beers is coming from. I mean, even though it was scoreless and it was tightly contested, you're like, the Bruins didn't look good in these 5 minutes or these 7 minutes. Last night I wasn't worried. Last night I wasn't, oh, my God.
No, neither was I.
It could go the other way real fast. And Jeremy Swayman at the other end had a lot to do with that, but at the same time, the Bruins are getting a lot of chances.
Well,
that's the thing.
The Bruins ended the first period on the power play, and they had a minute left to start the second. After they didn't score there, I started thinking things are tightening up a little bit, and the ice started closing in a little bit, and, this happened.
McAvoy flings it ahead. Beecher hands to Lindholm. To the far side, McAvoy bumped it ahead, looking for Beecher. He didn't get to it. High slot, Kachuk shoots, he scores! A miscommunication on a clean breakout. And the Bruins trail 1-0.
That was after the last 7 shots on net had all been Florida shots on Swayman. So they took control, at least offensively, in terms of zone time and putting pressure on Swayman as opposed to the pressure going the other way, which just kind of the tempo and I guess what the hell's the word I'm looking for, Fred? The momentum of the
bukkake.
game. The
Cuckold.
I would
Sadomasochism.
Repeat after me, Hardy. Say those words.
The momentum of the game had shifted to Florida fully at that point as Kachuk. Here comes Hampus Lindholm. Boy, oh boy.
Oh, boy.
Here he comes. Let me get in front of you, Swayman. How about this? How about you just let this puck go right off my shin?
Well,
that's great.
2 things. First of all, it took a Bruins mistake for Florida to score. I don't know what McAvoy and Beecher were doing there, but it took a mistake for them to score. And it also took a weird deflection to beat Swayman.
Oh, yeah. That wasn't Swayman's fault.
It's not Swayman's fault. It's Lindholm's fault.
I know. It ricocheted off Lindholm's ankle, a weird direction.
Yeah,
Swayman was on it. It just that deflection happened to go into the top
Lindholm,
corner.
get on the deck.
Yeah.
Hit the deck, baby.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Fred. It's like if you want to block that shot, go block it like a human man. Go lay out and block that thing.
As I keep telling you, Lindholm is at his best when you don't see him. Well, when you don't see him and you don't call his name.
He's like John Cena.
He's an offensive lineman.
You can't see me.
Yes.
But just like Game 7 against Toronto, boys, it was just a minute and change later.
Here's Lindholm, far circle of his own zone. Sorts it out, sends it ahead to Geekie, hands it back to Pasternak. Spins the pass to Geekie, he'll backhand it deep. Bobrovsky back of the net. Scraped it over to the near side. High slot, Pasternak, left of the net. Out in front, Bobrovsky, the shot. They score! Morgan Geekie, after Bobrovsky took out one of the Bruins in front, gets a loose puck, and the Bruins answer quickly. Bruins 1, Panthers 1.
By the way, the first goal that Florida scored occurred after there was a turnover in Boston's end, and it was not a good puck handling maneuver by either Beecher or McAvoy. They turned the puck over, and then the puck goes off Lindholm, and then boom, it scored. Same thing on the second goal. Just a minute later, turnover. Bruins capitalize. Geekie scores. It's 1-1.
Yeah, Florida was very sloppy in their own end. They were turning, like John said in the first period, they were turning the puck over a lot, and Pasternak had a couple breakaway opportunities, or he was alone in front of the net a couple times, if it's not technically a breakaway, and not able to finish. But Florida did not look great for periods of that game. They were making mistakes, and Bobrovsky. You will continue, and then we can get into the macro. But you can continue to break down the game if you like.
Because at the end of the second period, what do I say? Last minute or two of the second period, what happens? Strange things happen. Goals get scored that you're not expecting. And there was a stupid penalty that the Bruins took for way too many men on the ice, like not even close to the bench.
That was. Yeah, what the hell happened there?
I don't know. All of a sudden, there was a penalty called. The television people completely missed it.
Yeah, but then they showed later the picture of the six guys on the six guys on the ice, and Hardy's right. Like they were, 5 of them were about as far from the bench as you could get. And then the other guy was like
20 feet.
Was 20 feet from the bench. Like it was no
weird.
It was no nickel and dime call. I mean, and
was,
you could see the guy in the picture they took. You could see whoever from Florida carrying on, going like, look. So like, if you're on the ice and know there's too many guys on the ice, that's an issue.
But it wasn't a sloppy line change.
No,
they had too many men on the ice. Oh wait, we're only allowed 5. Damn it!
It was the spirit. Yeah, they broke the spirit of the rule. Like, they had literally too many people on the ice.
But great penalty kill from the Bruins, and here we go. Last minute of the second period.
The Bruins trying to win a battle. High slot, Wotherspoon lofts it behind the Panthers' net. Forsling spun around. Tarasenko can't get it out. Wotherspoon left of the net. Lohrei shoots. He scores! His first career Stanley Cup playoff goal. He goes top shelf right onto the bar. Bruins 2, Panthers 1.
John, just get slow, or Dan, get slow ride just ready and put it in a button.
Yeah, seriously. Why?
Because
that's my bad. That's my fault.
One person last night, through all the channels to reach me, Instagram and email, one guy said, take it easy.
Yeah.
By what a shot by Lohrei, though, in all seriousness.
He is.
First of all, he looks 4. It's like the first time I ever saw his face without a helmet on.
Yeah.
He's got all like jacked up teeth and like he's all like he looks like an adolescent. Well, I mean, this isn't going to do me any good.
It's a little anticlimactic now because you had to call for it.
Hold on. Maybe if we
just get to the chorus.
All the way down into the Florida end. Racing
keep it up, Dan.
Frederick scooped
You can
up by
keep it
Coyle.
up. I mean, do whatever.
Coyle
keep
stops.
the song going.
Right circle. Carlo shoots. He scores!
That wasn't.
All right.
Live edit.
With 21 seconds left in the period, sizzles one in. Way to go, Dad! Bruins.
See?
That was Carlo.
That was the right call.
Hang on. There's more. Low rye.
The Bruins in a battle, high slot. Wotherspoon
I overmodulated on
lost it
purpose.
behind the Panthers' net.
Yeah, right, guys? Right, gang? Right, Boston? Come on, Boston.
Swiss watch this is.
Horsley spun around. Tarasenko can't get it out.
Lowry.
Wotherspoon left to the net. Lowry
All right, let me.
he scores!
Jason, do you have the fever? Do you know what we're doing here? Lowry, take it easy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's great, huh? You like it?
Oh, it's awesome, dude.
Thank you.
Absolutely awesome.
Make it happen. You
Glad
tell
to
your
see the
friends.
Glad to see the secondary scoring showing up.
Yes, indeed. That was he picked the corner. That was a beautiful shot.
All secondary scoring.
I was just going to say, primaries didn't have much to do with last night.
Well, Pasternak had great chances. He just couldn't finish. I mean, and the biggest chance of the night was Kachuk, who had scored early, but he missed a wide open net in the third.
And right after he missed, he put his stick on his knees during play and was just like, Jesus Christ, this is all I need. All right, well, let's break.
Okay.
Everyone's too fired up from the low ride. Take it easy. Everyone, I can see the Garden now planning for trying to get the rights to play slow ride. Slow ride.
The Bruins in a battle. High slot. Wotherspoon lost it behind the Panthers'
Low ride.
net. Horsley spun around. Tarasenko can't get it out. Wotherspoon left to the net. Lowry
Low
shoots.
ride.
He scores!
It's almost amazing how I know right when to come in with my low ride. Maybe they'll just hand me a mic at Game 3, and I can do it. All right, so we'll be back in just a moment. Instagram, the one guy said it looks like you look like a bunch of predators, which is good because it's a charity thing. If there's of all the things we put up on the internet, like, hey, like this is this golf tournament, like, do you want to bid for charity? And the guy's like, you look like a bunch of predators.
I would prefer groomers.
And believe me, I know what a predator looks like. Believe me. Strangely, like you would assume. We're back for the 13th Hoosier. Say there's 40 people in a say there's 40 people in a room.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the predator, the child predator.
Sure.
We're back for the 13th Hoosier Caddy Classic. Right. You'd be able to do the same. Not fun. No. Benefiting the pediatric advanced care.
Uncomfortable for everybody.
It's just sitting in the back of my head. Benefiting the pediatric advanced care team at Boston's Children's Hospital. We're teeing off early with an online auction. It's live now. Visit 985thesportshub.com/caddy. I went there yesterday. I have no idea how you get involved in the auction from that page, but sure.
Oh, I do.
Okay,
because I navigated it also.
No, it's well, I'm too dumb.
No. It's there's a little thing in the top left that you have to say, featured items. So once you click on the featured items, it pops right up there. I think the bid to play with us the last time I looked was up to $400, which is nice seeing how it would cost you $400 to get into the tournament.
Felger was pretty funny. He said he was going to have headphones in the whole time. He said, "Is there going to be some scoreboard watching?" And Maz was like, "Oh yeah." And then Felger's like. He's like, and then Maz is like, you'll win. And he's like, are you so sure about that? And he's like, yeah, everyone's going to win when we play with you. He's like, well, I'm going to have headphones in, which I actually laughed. Felger made me laugh. He says he's not funny. He made me laugh. So you can play with me and Hardy or Felger and Maz. Autographed Rob Gronkowski football among the auctioned items. Regular foursomes will be available June 10th. It's brought to you by Lawn Drink, FootJoy, PXG, the Seaport Hotel, and Alamo Draft House. All right, we're talking. Oh, by the way, we are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. 617-779-0985. The Bruins last night, just fantastic. What a treat! And I think we all had the same feeling going into this game. Is that I liked their? I said I liked their chances better in this series than I did after they lost game. Game 5 against the Maple Leafs. I like their chances better now than going into game 6 of the Maple Leaf series. So maybe that resonated. Not me saying it, obviously, but maybe getting off the schneid, getting the monkey off your back, winning that game 7, getting past the first round, not making history as the first team in North American sports to lose 3-1 series leads in consecutive years. And they looked actually very, very good last night. Swayman looked great. We were going to have the debate. We had it yesterday about if you play Swayman or Ullmark. They chose Swayman. Obviously, it was the right decision, especially if they win this series. Now, if Swayman, at some point, his legs fall off or something, then I guess it wasn't. But as for now, it seems like the right decision. I'm happily incorrect in saying that they should have played Ullmark. Now, I never said Swayman would play poorly, but I thought for the good of the series, you don't play Swayman, but you did. I mean, he was excellent last night. So good on Jim Montgomery, who now won't lose his job. He has that pressure off of him. He knows he has a job for next year. The front office has the pressure off of them. They know they have jobs. They're bringing rookies in to take face-offs.
Yeah.
They're like having the – I mean, they really did. They brought a kid up specifically Brown yesterday, specifically to take face-offs. He won 71% of his face-offs. He's the guy on the team that can do it. But, I mean, you're having problems when you're bringing a rookie up to take face-offs. Go ahead.
They match up with this team pretty well. I mean, they won all 4 meetings this season. Now, all 4 games were close during the regular season, but they won all of them. And goaltending was a big reason. I mean, Ullmark won 3 of the games. Swayman won the 4th one, but Florida had more than their fair share of opportunities last night. And we talked about how Tkachuk missed a wide-open net. He's not going to miss that again. But Swayman is as hot gets. And, yeah, maybe Florida was playing well entering the postseason, but Swayman's the great equalizer. The Bruins can make mistakes in their defensive end, and they did last night.
Yeah.
But Swayman is there. It is great to have the goaltender that gets hot. How many times have we seen the Bruins run into one of those in the postseason?
Yeah.
Now your team has that guy, and it frees everyone else up. Mason Lowry, who had trouble getting into the lineup, is now going to be there for the rest of the playoffs.
And that goal that he had last night, Kevin Weeks broke it down a little bit.
I saw that in the intermission,
which I thought was really, really good.
I like how they made Butchergrass stand there with a stick.
Yes.
He had the wrong leg in the air, too. It's like, at least get the right leg in the air. But whatever.
Butchergrass has to have a background in hockey. I mean, they really made him the hockey guy. He had to have played. Like, if I worked at ESPN and they made me the hockey guy, I'd be like, what the hell are you doing? No one here played?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, but Weeks did a very good job of explaining, the position that Bobrovsky was in and why when you get down in that particular stance and, it's good to, go back and forth across, but it leaves that opening right above his right shoulder. And credit to Lowry for finding that spot, picking that spot. He had scored 4 goals all regular season.
I mean, that was a goal scorer goal. I mean, that was a sniper goal. I mean, he put that in a puck space, like the space of a puck. There was that opening, and he was able to hit it. They obviously had a book on Bobrovsky to go high on him. Every goal was high last night.
Well, everybody got that book except for
Pasternak.
Yes.
Well, Pasternak could try to go 5-hole twice on breakaway.
Right.
There
into
was
the
one
pads.
time where he was just too close in and couldn't do much with it.
And then there was one time that wasn't one of his 2 chances where he was interfered with. He was hooked.
Yes, clearly. Yes.
It was like a slash hook that happened, yeah.
You look at last night's game, they scored 5 goals to even throw away the empty netter. 4 goals. Florida has a guy that is a Vezina Trophy finalist, and Florida has a guy who is a Selke Trophy finalist. And they scored 4 goals on that team in their own building last night. Something's going on here. This is a little strange. We all thought that Game 7 was a foregone conclusion that they'd lose, and they won that game. And then they came out last night and couldn't have looked better for long periods of time. They were the better team last night.
They were. And Bobrovsky looks like they have the book on him. And if even if that gets into his head and he starts trying to take away the top of the net, that means he's going to look even worse. Again, I made the point that in between the first and second period, Beers was talking about how even though it was nothing, Bobrovsky looked like he was off. He looked like something was off with him. And do you guys? I'm starting to really like Pat Maroon. I'm starting to see his point on this team.
I told you why he was there, and you saw it last night at the end of the game. Florida, because they were down so much, got chippy. Maroon was on the ice and immediately put a stop to all of it.
I thought
credit to Montgomery. They just put Maroon on. When he knows it's going to get wild, he puts Maroon on the ice and says, "Here you go." And by the way, did you see the last power play the Bruins played?
Yes, they played their 4th line and their 3rd pair D. And all of them, by the way, were so-called sandpaper guys. They're like, okay, you want to start something even shorthanded? Here are our 5 guys. Good luck.
Yeah, because I actually was listening to that part of the game. I felt like I could get away from the television when they were up 4 goals.
Yes,
and they Beers and they were talking about it, and they're like, I think there's like at least 2 guys out there that have never on any level played on the power play.
Yeah, Parker Wotherspoon.
Probably ever.
Yes, they were like at any level.
Yeah.
Like they have, like Surratt and Beers were like on any level. I bet you, and they were going through who was on the ice, and they're like so and so and so and so. I bet you has never been on a power play ever. Like even in like juniors and when they were like Pee-wee, never on a power play in their entire lives.
And I thought of Wallach last night when Maroon did get it in there and start mixing it up. He played a few more minutes last night than he did in Game 7 against Toronto. And B, he's out there specifically for that reason. No. You think you're going to take things like in a different direction here? You think you're going to get an extra little slap in on Swayman after the puck is frozen? Absolutely not. Not as long as Maroon is on the ice. He's at the very least going to make you not do it again. Now, I don't know if he can stop it in the moment, but it won't happen again if he's out there.
Yeah, he makes you aware when he's on the ice.
Yeah.
And Florida will think twice before taking liberties, which is the only reason they got him.
2 more things we got to get to, Fred, from the NBA. Moving away from the Bruins here for a moment because out west things are getting wild.
The Timberwolves have come into Denver and stunned the defending champs, winning twice on their home floor. The horn sounds here at Ball Arena, and the Wolves lead the Nuggets 2-0.
After a 106-80 win, they led by as many as 32 points in that game in Denver.
No Rudy Gobert either.
Without Rudy Gobert, who missed the game because
He had a kid, unlike Carlo, who had the kid, saw it come out of the vag.
birth canal, I would prefer. That's the phrase I was going to ask you to use.
But there are vaginas and penises. Any way you slice it. I don't mean to be
Can't argue with
shock-jock.
that. Can't argue with you there.
I don't mean to. In Atlanta, like, people would actually get mad if you said vagina and penis.
Really?
Like, they don't exist. Like, what are you talking about with the pee-pee? My kid's in the car. Your kid's unaware of vaginas and penises? I don't. You know, they're going to find out one day that, over half the population has a vagina. I just want you to know that.
The Knicks and Pacers.
And you know what Knicks rhymes with? Tricks.
Birth canal.
Bukkake. That's just 2 bukkakes, and now 3 for the 6 o'clock hour.
Knicks hosted the Pacers in Game 1 last night. Took care of home court.
Siakam will inbound in the backcourt. Into the hands of Nembhard. Ahead for Halliburton. One dribble underneath gathers. Knocked away by Hart. Stolen by McBride. Taken by Anunoby. Dribbles
Can't
towards
be the radio guy. That can't be the Knicks guy, right? That's got to be the Indiana guy.
Game 1 goes to the Knicks. 121 to 117.
Yeah, you can tell by the
a real
call.
dork.
Yeah, you can tell by the call that's the Pacers guy.
Yeah, it's a real dork. All right, so when we come back, this guy.
Time now for Matt's opening thought.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
And here we go.
I mean, it's really nothing more than a self-absorbed monologue for Matt to rant about something and pretend he's a serious radio personality instead of a gas bag.
Everyone, get ready to be offended.
So the guy who has the rant every day from Canada is back. Boo boo. Boo boo. I mean, it's the Canadian version of being mad, which is really not mad at all. But we'll have that for you.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
That's not us playing that. That's from that guy's thing.
No, that's my drop.
Yeah, right.
I have that loaded at all times.
If it is, we have to have a serious conversation. We have to have an intervention if that's happening. And your phone call, 617-779-0985, as we celebrate this Game 1 victory. It's all gravy from here on out. Boy, I did not think they were going to beat Toronto after that Game 5. So it's all pretty much gravy at this point. We'll be right back. Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. Our show is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, making every moment more with FanDuel. And you can watch us every morning on YouTube. Search 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube and hit subscribe. For the love of God, the algorithm. Since they won, why not? Mark from Medford. Hello, Mark from Medford. Hello, Mark.
Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going?
Hey, what's going on?
So, the thing with the Toronto Maple Leafs when they played them, I don't think the Bruins expected what Toronto brought with them. And then when Austin Matthews went down, Toronto had to change it up a little, and the Bruins didn't have an answer for Nylander. But with the Florida Panthers, they don't change the way they play. The way they play in the regular season is the way they play in the playoffs. So the Bruins knew what they were bringing to the table. And I don't want to hear that, the Florida Panthers were rusty because they sat for a week. No, the Bruins went out last night and literally kicked their ass.
Yeah, and Florida didn't look bad in the first period. I mean, they made they had some bad turnovers in their own end, but it wasn't like they came out flat. I mean, that first period was pretty even. And the beginning of the second period, the first 10 minutes of the second period was dominated by Florida. I mean, I don't even know where you'd find it, but the puck possession had to be incredibly in Florida's favor. They had a shift where they might have had the puck in the Bruins' end for 2 minutes straight. I mean, really lopsided. I'm not sure how good the chances were, but they certainly dominated puck possession that first 10 minutes.
But that's the best thing. It doesn't matter how good the chances are when you have the goaltender.
So, Fred, there were a couple of times, one of them that I made note of was in the third when Swayman had to make 11 saves in a row in the first 5 minutes of the third.
Yep.
And that's when Boston took the timeout because – and I'd love to say things turned around, and they did. They scored. After that, they did make it 4-1 on the Brazeau breakaway. But it wasn't like, all right, enough of that. Florida still maintained possession of the puck a lot, and we're still putting a lot of shots on net. Now, if you want to say there's a couple of goals that they're probably going to get next time, that's fine. I think Pastrnak probably ends up scoring on at least one of those breakaways next time, too. So if the game wasn't really – was final 4-1 or 5-1 after the empty net?
5-1.
5-1.
I'll tell you this.
Maybe would they have scored a couple of goals? It would have been 5-3, maybe 6-3. If that same game is played again and a couple of the goals go in that should have.
Oh, we also talked about how at the last power play, the Bruins had guys that literally never played a power play before in their lives. I mean, they were jamming up the neutral zone at the end of that game. They weren't trying to do anything. And I think, to your point, even though it ended up in the favor of the Bruins, I think that Florida had the puck so much that the Bruins scored on 3 consecutive shots.
Yes.
And
after they won down 1-0, they scored on 3 consecutive shots. And that timeout you were talking about, Hardy, I was texting back and forth with a couple of friends of mine. We had a text chat going. That was a basketball timeout. Mm-hmm. All the momentum's going the other way. Let's call a timeout and put a stop to it. Maybe that ruins the momentum. And it was well done. That's exactly what happened.
Fred, it was the middle of the second. I bet that long time in the zone for Florida. And during that stretch, they had 7 consecutive shots on net to go with the freaking 11 that they had in the third. So, yeah, there were 2 stretches during that game where they just had the puck. Bruins.
They just couldn't clear the zone. They couldn't clear the zone. They couldn't get it out of their own way. All right. So last night, a quality game 1 win, but with every victory has to come a defeat, and that defeated team is the Toronto Maple Leafs. We heard before from the guy with the rants every day. He is scheduled to rant, and wouldn't you know it, Monday after the Saturday Game 7, he was on the air.
Time now for Matt's opening thought.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
And here we go.
I mean, it's really nothing more than a self-absorbed monologue, a chance for Matt to rant about something and pretend he's a serious radio personality instead of a gas bag.
They heard it more than once, and they keep playing it.
Everybody get ready.
You know what they don't have in Canada? Multi-track editing, where you can have one sound that plays along with another sound.
Well, that would be ostentatious.
Jesus.
They don't want to show off. How dare you?
They're cutting and splicing tape.
Actual tape.
Yes.
Actual reel-to-reel.
Actual reel-to-reel.
Get the razor blade out.
What is it? It's a one-track. It's mono, one track. You have one sound when that sound ends, then you play the next one. That one, you cut, a little China marker, razor blade, splice the tape together, onto the next sound.
All right.
Let's face it, he stole this idea from Dennis Miller.
Now, I don't want to get off on a rant here.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Do you know how hard today is for anyone in the sports media business who covers Toronto sports? How do you find new ways of talking about what happened to the Maple Leafs?
You can tell he's pissed off because he's being really effeminate.
The pitch of the voice went up a little higher.
Do you know how difficult it is with the Met Gala tonight to focus? Jeez Louise. My stars. It is hard to focus. Do you know that I could barely even put my mask on last night?
You want to talk about it?
Do you want to talk about it? I'm pissed.
I'm really cheesed.
This kitten's got claws. Take that, Maple Leafs. The only leaf is my Adam and Eve themed wardrobe for the gala. Or as Tony P from DC says, Gala.
Do you know how hard today is for anyone in the sports media business who covers Toronto sports? How do you find new ways of talking about what happened to the Maple Leafs in the playoffs? We've done this song and dance every year
We've done this song and dance every year, and you still can't get it. It's Fiddler on the Effing Roof. If you were a rich man, get the steps down. Jazz hands, come on. We do this dance every year. When are you guys going to get... Come on! Every year this dance happens, and you can't do it. Now take it from the top. And sass and... Now strut.
We've done this.
Kick the legs. Boo, boo. There you go.
In the playoffs. We've done this song and dance every year for, 7, 8 years, near a decade. They lost again with all that talent. Rinse and repeat. So,
yes, excuse me, if you're going to clean the cape.
Rinse and repeat.
Or it will shrink.
Don't you dare put that in the wash.
Whoosh.
So, in an attempt to write something even a wee bit original, I am turning to one of the greatest writers of all time. Yep, William Shakespeare.
Ooh.
Oh, we're going to learn something.
So,
there's nothing like introducing Shakespeare on sports radio to really talk to the public.
Good old Billy Shakespeare. All right.
To one of the greatest writers of all time. Yep, William Shakespeare. Or Billy Shakespeare.
Oh, hey. Birds
He's
of a
a
feather.
home folksy guy. All right.
Yeah, I said the same thing as me.
William Shakespeare. Or Billy Shakespeare, as he was known by his friends. I was thinking about Brendan Shanahan and his now failed vision of the Maple Leafs. When I think about him, I think about the play Othello. The title character utters this famous line near the end of the play. I am the one. I am the one who...
Would he stop to cry? I mean, you're right. Who's editing this crap?
Famous line near the end of the play. I am the one. I am the one. I am the one who loved not wisely, but too well. Now, I won't go to the play, but, well, Othello does horrible things. There's murder, and it all stems from his crazed emotions. His passionate love for those closest to him led to him...
This is where the program director needs to burst in the door and say, Matt, what the F are you talking about?
Yeah, just shut up. Like, stop. Like, none of this needs to be said.
His passionate love for those closest to him led to him making horrible mistakes and his ultimate undoing.
His tragic downfall. Yes. Yeah.
I am the Phantom Crapper.
Alas, poor Yorick. I knew him well. The Phantom Crapper of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I am the one who's been crapping in the common room. And now I bid you adieu as I graduate this fine institution. And may one of you take the role of the Phantom Crabber and carry my legacy. And to all of the cleaning staff, I apologize for leaving human waste for you to pick up.
Fear not, fellow lads, for the stench of the Phantom Crabber shall live on, long past my days at this Institute of Higher Learning.
May you pass out drunk in the place where my feces once laid. All right.
And the thing is, he loved not wisely, he loved too well. Well, what has been Shanahan's greatest mistake? His love for these players. And all Leaf fans are once again left with a Shakespearean-like tragedy when it comes to playoff results. It's time for massive changes from the top to the bottom, and that is my opening thought.
I'm finished.
Boy.
That's my opening thought. In case you didn't realize I was ending this sentence, I want you all to know, now I'm done.
I'm finished. Do you know what that is? I think that's Daniel Day-Lewis at the end of There Will Be Blood.
Oh, I thought that was
Don't.
What? I thought that was TT Boy at the end of Booze the Popper.
I'm finished.
Again, I think the two of us and maybe three other people out there understand that. But
John,
that's
I
all
think
right.
you'd be surprised. Our audience
Really?
is almost disturbingly predominantly male.
No, but
And a lot of those people are watching pornography, and there was only like 5 guys.
I know, but to actually know
Warner.
the actor's name,
When there's 5 guys, I mean, there's credits.
which everyone hangs around for.
They're at the beginning of the film. Dumbass.
I'm finished.
He's spent. It was a long day. A long day in the valley.
Hold on, get the I'm finished ready again. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Because I have it ready.
Yeah.
I'm finished.
There you
We know.
There you go. There's some Shakespeare for you.
There you go. Fluto Shinzawa. He is in the beautiful Sunrise, Florida. If they do have hotels there, I don't know how far you have to go from Sunrise, Florida to find a hotel. TPC Sawgrass right around there, I believe. He will join us, give his thoughts on last night's game. Lots to talk about today. We'll be right back. Hey, we're Dutcher and Hardy. Fluto Shinzawa, senior writer for The Athletic, covers the Bruins. He joins us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. The Bruins 5-1 win over the Panthers last night. Hello, Fluto.
Good morning, Fred.
Hey, how you doing? So I was in the car in between the first and second period last night, and I heard Bob Beers talking about Bobrovsky and saying that even though it was 0-0 at the end of one, he thought Bobrovsky looked uncomfortable, like looked a little off. Did you see that, and do you think that's something that could be a problem for Florida as the series goes on?
Yeah, a little bit in terms of I was talking to Andrew Raycroft from Nesson last night. Obviously, Andrew, former goalie, Calder Trophy winner, knows the game inside out in terms of that position. He thought that it was the layoff that really contributed to Bobrovsky, that he was just not feeling himself. You could see that, like he was trying to anticipate a little bit more than usual. That's his strength, is the hockey sense. He's so good at reading plays and anticipating what's to come. It just wasn't, like 2 and 2 weren't really adding up to 4 for him. So he was a little bit ahead of the play, trying to compensate for the fact that, and for a goalie, right? Like, look at Jeremy. Look at the rhythm and just the tempo that he's playing with, and that much confidence because he's been playing every other night. Bobrovsky hasn't had that, so I would expect him to be better in Game 2, as I would expect all the Panthers to be better in Game 2. That was a pretty disappointing game for Florida. You could tell they hadn't played in a while.
What did you make of Swayman starting in goal? Did you think there was any chance that it could have been Ullmark with the short amount of rest? It obviously worked out great so far. What were your thoughts on that?
No, I think it was Swayman all the way. And this is coming from somebody who thought they should rotate every other game starting before round one, before Toronto. But look, the thing that they were going to ask Jeremy, and how can you get a real straight answer, right? In terms of, okay, how do you feel? Are you okay? Are you fatigued? Can you go? And of course, Jeremy is going to say, I'm fine. But you look, right? You look at the data, you look at the eye test, and everything says this guy he's unconscious. He is playing so well. I think maybe if you're really nitpicking, the rebound control was not as good last night as it was against Toronto for most of round one. But boy, he is just dialed in. Best player, especially early when Florida had their best push. Just so fast, square. Again, perhaps a little bit to clean up in terms of the loose change in front of the net. But this is Swayman's playoffs. This is his.
Fluto, in terms of the game last night, early on, it looked to be a lot more wide open than it was certainly against Toronto. It was doing a great job of clogging things up in front of Swayman and just making it difficult to get anything going. But the passing lanes appeared to be like wide open last night, and the teams were moving freely back and forth. Do you think that's something we can expect more of throughout this series? And did you notice the same thing?
Incredible in terms of, what is it, like 5 p.m. rush hour traffic against Toronto versus like 3 a.m. driving home, and there's nobody on the road. Right. It just showed how committed, and credit to Toronto, just how committed they were to checking, because there was no space. There was nothing. No time, no space, nothing. Just you can't even think to make a play because of how fast Toronto was on the Bruins, and vice versa. Just the level of commitment defensively away from the puck in round one was tremendous. And then last night, now it's a little bit different with Florida because they play man-to-man defense, so there are going to be opportunities in terms of they're not going to stack 3 wide across center ice. It's just a different system that they play. But oh my goodness, was there room and so many opportunities for rushes, just because of how poorly that Florida was clearing pucks. Aaron Ekblad, Gustav Forsling, 2 of their better defensemen, was just very careless, very loose with the puck. Bruins were right on top of them with the forecheck, and then the turnovers. And then we saw in Brazo's goal, too, how they got to their rush game. So I don't know if that's not going to be in Florida's game plan. They have to check better in Game 2, and they will, because they're so much better than they were in Game 1.
And you mentioned them not, hitting and checking as much, and Ekblad especially on the Carlo goal. He had Marchand right in front of him, so they were double screening him because Ekblad allowed Marchand to just kind of like set up camp. I'm like, why is Ekblad not moving him out of there? It just seemed really weird.
Tough night, just a real tough night for the Panthers. You look at, they made the play when McAvoy turns it over, trying to go up the wall to Beecher, and then Barkov gets it to Tkachuk. Nice goal, nice shot, nothing Jeremy can do, and certainly had a good push first 5-7 minutes. But yeah, not like we've seen Florida. They are a nasty team in terms of being punishing, physical, mean. I didn't see much of that game one, so we will see it in game two for sure.
And to that end, it seems like the Bruins getting Patrick Maroon is perfect for this particular series, and we saw it last night.
Yeah, everybody talks about how good he is on the bench, in the room, in terms of the mood, the presence. But then when it actually comes to on ice physical play, he's first one in the pile, right? He's clubbing guys. He's giving them that big hit on 18 in the third period. That's especially because it's going to ramp up. The temperature is going to absolutely rise, and you need that. You need some pushback because Bruins really aren't. Otherwise, they have a few guys. Frederick can do it. Forbert, and good game for Forbert, right? We haven't seen him in a while. Very clean, very efficient game from Forbert. But yeah, he's one of those guys too that can push back. So we'll see it because that is the meat and potatoes of Florida's game. They are not nice players in terms of physicality and getting in there. So that's coming.
Yeah, they wore him down last year, and we saw that over the 7 games. So you mentioned Maroon, you mentioned Forbert, you mentioned. Do you think that the Bruins are more ready for it this time around? Do you think they
physically?
Yeah, physically.
Yeah. Just because they know, right? They know that they got pushed around last year, and granted, they're still. It's not that kind of a team that they're designed to be, but there are players. Fred, of course, Marchand is going to push back. Pasternak, he's physical. And David looked way more like himself last night than he did throughout round one, especially early. And then on the Loroi goal, I think he had the first shot. Excuse me, the Geeky goal, the first one. So yeah, David looked good. He looked engaged. But yeah, physically, yeah, they're not Florida, but they do have it in pockets in terms of pushback.
Patrick Brown called up yesterday. Did you see that one coming? That's something again we're going to see more of in this series?
I can understand the reasoning. A little bit better on faceoffs than Boquist. A little bit more sandpaper to his game. I don't know if we see him back. That was a tough penalty for Patrick to take, the holding penalty after he makes the check. Didn't see much of him after.
That was unfortunate. It was unfortunate.
Yeah. And Boquist, okay, granted he's a little lighter than Patrick in terms of strength on the puck and engagement in the battle, but he's also he's not afraid to get in there and make plays. So I have a sense that we'll see Boquist back, and maybe he's not 100% physically, but he was good enough to be in the morning skate and stay out late. So that might not be a change that lasts very long.
We've spoken a little bit about the location of the rink and what it's near and what it's not near. And we were saying there are no hotels near the rink. Where are you staying, and what is there to do near where you have to go to work?
Yeah, what are you doing today, Fluto?
Stay away from the alligators.
Yeah.
Because this is swampland. Bruins are not practicing today. They're gonna gather at their hotels. So we'll see. It's pretty hot down here, guys, and pretty humid. And we, as spring has taken a long time back home to come in. It's a change. But no, there'll be plenty of stuff here to do. There's work to be done in terms of the Bruins, in terms of being a little bit tighter in game 2. So as for the writers, yeah, we've always got work to do.
Well, you're a bit of a foodie, though, from what I remember.
What
so
great restaurants can there possibly
yeah,
be?
is there like
where
a
you
high-end
are?
Applebee's in Plantation or Sunrise or someplace you might be able to set up camp for a while?
I have to say, in downtown Fort Lauderdale, right on the beach, there is a terrific Greek place. So who knows? There might be some outdoor work being done there.
Oh.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
All right, the Savaki. Everyone's very excited. All right, Fluto Shinzawa, read them on The Athletic as this series moves to game 2. Thank you so much for the time, sir.
Okay, guys. My pleasure.
Thanks,
All right,
Fluto.
we appreciate it. There you go. Fluto Shinzawa.
That was an unfortunate penalty that Brown took last night. I mean,
Yeah.
finish the hit by all means. Do not engage in the takedown once the puck is long gone.
No.
You can't can't do that.
You can't take the guy by the neck and fling him to the ice. That's
Fling,
usually
pull him down with
He's
you.
the only
whatever.
one who was over 50% in faceoffs.
That's all right. Just maybe get
The
your
only
hand
one
off
with
him.
more than one faceoff that was over 50% in faceoffs. By the way, the Bruins 41% of faceoffs.
That's an improvement too. So
That's not an improvement. No, it's not. It's actually worse. They were worse last night in faceoffs than they were in the Toronto series.
oh man,
Damn it! I meant to ask Fluto too about the too many men penalty. I mean, there are too many men penalties where you're like, oh yeah, I guess they're taking a little bit of leeway there with the change. That wasn't an issue on the change. They literally had one too many skaters on the ice playing hockey. It was bizarre.
You know what the deal is when you have too many, how you know when there's too many men on the ice is when the guy says,
I'm finished.
and they say there's too many.
That was
Get off.
so smooth.
Thank you. We're back for the 13th Hoosier Caddy Classic, benefiting the pediatric advanced care team at Boston Children's Hospital. We're teeing off early. That's in golf parlance. With an online auction live now, visit 985thesportshub.com/caddy. And you can play with me and Hardy. You can play with Felger and Maz. They're not the opportunity to play with John Wallach, as you have to have the ability to fly. An autographed Rob Gronkowski football is up for sale. Regular foursomes for the tournament on June 10th at Brook Meadow Country Club will go on sale March 14th at 10 a.m.
I'm finished.
Oh, yeah, May 14th. I was getting too excited for playing.
I'm finished.
Thank you to Long Drink, Footjoy, PXG, the Seaport Hotel, and the Alamo Draft House. How much are we going for? You said you were looking at it.
Yeah, I was a little concerned because I think we're at $400 and Felger and Maz to bid to play with them was at $500. You and I are now at $1,500.
whoa, hey now.
If it gets too high, then there's too much pressure. Then I don't feel like the need to perform.
What?
I'm finished.
I don't need to do anything other than just be you.
Sometimes even when I'm with my daughter, I feel like I need to perform. Like when we were on vacation, I felt like I had to be making her laugh.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it got very tiring.
Fred, it's just going to be about the golf. It's going to be about getting the win, baby. You and I got to take this real seriously.
You're going to be pissed. You're going to get couldn't you see him getting pissed at me? Both of you, couldn't you see Hardy getting pissed at me during the tournament?
I can see that happening. Yes,
The only-
it's under
I
certain
can guarantee it
circumstances.
happening.
Yeah,
No,
I can see that happening.
He's going to get annoyed with me because I'm not going to play well, and he's going to get pissed off. I know.
Absolutely not. I'm not going to play well either because I'm not good. But the only time I've really gotten angry with somebody as a teammate was when I played with Maz before, because Maz does want to take it seriously, and he just gets annoying with stuff, with like repeating yardages or suggesting clubs and just doing things I'm like, stop it, shut up. If you knew so much, why did you do that on the last shot, or why did you do that? And we were playing with two guys who didn't know us. It was an auction. It was an auction for something having to do with this. And we went and played with these guys. And one guy took me aside. He goes, wow, you two really don't like each other, huh? I said, oh, no, we're dear friends, Maz and I. But I wanted to choke him out on the golf course that day.
So you want to play with Fred and Hardy instead of Maz, is what he's saying.
Fred and I will be fine. We're not going to.
Well, Felger's not going to
Felger's
bother
going
you.
to have his headphones in.
No. I thought that was a funny line he
It
told
was a
yesterday.
funny line.
But Felger's a nice guy. I mean, Maz is a great guy. Felger's a nice guy. But it sounds to me like Felger might be the better one to play golf with. Because, the last thing you want to do at one of these things is like chase to win. Because the thing is, if you're really good at golf, you're going to be the one who wins it. It's best ball. It's not like what we do even matters. Like if you're like a +3 handicap, you can go out.
It's not best ball. It's a scramble. I mean, if this is your level of knowledge and commitment to this tournament.
Wait, everyone plays where the best ball lies.
No, that is a different format. Best ball means everyone plays their entire ball for the entire hole and you count the best score. This is a scramble where everyone hits a shot and then you choose a shot to hit from there.
Oh, all right. So
I understood what you meant. You phrased it wrong.
I did phrase it wrong.
Yes,
My bad.
phrased it wrong.
I'm not claiming I didn't phrase it wrong.
Yeah.
Bad on Fred.
Yep.
Taking the bullet. My point is,
He's already
if you're a +3 golfer,
Yeah.
you're essentially playing your own ball the whole time because you're the best and
Yeah.
you'll have the best shot.
Yeah.
So if you want to win the thing, go win the thing.
Well, yeah.
What the hell do I have to do with it?
And
make the putt yourself.
Well, no, but Fred, this is where you and I would come in. If somebody's really good and they want to win this thing, get us on your team, and we will, between the two of us, we'll be able to get one in play off the tee, and we will putt first, so you can see the line and you can gauge the speed. We'll be the guinea pigs the entire day.
If you tell me to sit in the cart the whole time and that I'm ruining your flow, you're not hurting my feelings.
They used to bug me. Radzik used to call it a best ball scramble. He would say, there was even a promo.
You know what
like
he's
best
a
ball
prick.
scramble.
He's a dumb prick. What a dumb prick. The nerve of that guy to call it a best ball scramble. What a jerk.
What did he sound like when he said it?
Oh, I don't know. Was the best ball scramble?
So you agree that you side with Rick on this. You think I'm being the prick. I know what you're doing.
Yeah,
I know what you're doing.
Thank you for clarifying that for Rick.
Why do you think I did it?
He just had to clarify that so our boss wouldn't think I was really making fun of him.
Exactly.
Which I wasn't. Wait a second. I heard you called me a prick. No, Rick, what I was making fun of Hardy by. Well, how are you making fun of Hardy if you call me a prick?
He wasn't making fun of you. He said
I heard the words. He said Rick's a prick.
No, because he was really calling me a prick because I
No, but he called me a.
I understand that he said that.
I don't know. I got to. Next thing you know, the phone's going to ring.
Take the call if you need to, but just understand Fred was being sarcastic. He wasn't calling you a prick.
Don't call me spastic. And I never had saws. My wounds are clean.
No.
So happy right now.
No, I wasn't calling you that. I'm sorry. There was a misunderstanding.
Don't wish saws on your worst enemy. That's a bad infection. Saws is not fantastic. I know what you did there. You've combined the two words. Saws-castic. All right. We'll be back. No one in the audience is just like, why are you doing a bad Baba Booey? And it's just
because Bad Baba Booey is now our program director, Rick Radzik. That's why.
Because I'm a hack. All right. We'll be back. Here are the headlines. Valerie Bertinelli said they weren't soulmates, her and Eddie Van Halen. I just read that on the internet. You've gone too far, Miss Bertinelli. Touch Her and Hardy is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. The Tom Brady roast, everyone's talking about it. There was a clip Stern had of Nikki Glaser talking about the joke she couldn't tell. And or she cut out of her act, and it was good that she cut her out of her act because she was brilliant. But the joke, it's got to be hard because Stern's not in studios, so like we talked about, it's got to be hard, like telling a joke to a screen, like when all those comics had to do that during COVID. And but I told you guys that I had heard that they weren't allowed to talk about the divorce. Well, a listener reached out and said that's not. You misheard. They weren't allowed to talk about Giselle having sex with like the pool guy when they were married, is what the listener said. And he said that he knew a comic at the Cellar, and that the comic at the Comedy Cellar said that was the rule.
Which, can I just raise my hand and say, what? Pool guy?
I never heard of it.
All those rumors that we heard over the years, I never heard that
I
one.
obviously don't know anything about it. I'm just saying that's what the listener told me, and it's interesting to me, so I'm repeating it. That's just what a listener said. I don't know the listener. That's just what he said. But what I do know is that I guess you couldn't see it, but after Kreischer and Segura severely bombed worse than Randy Moss. Even the Ringer ranked the roasters, and they had Segura and Burt Kreischer at 16th. Only behind them, Robert Kraft, and then Dana White and Ben Affleck.
They pulled Dana White out of the crowd? Really?
I guess Dana White did a minute.
They did, yeah. They gave him like 60 seconds to say whatever he wanted. There were some funny jokes about Dana White, but Dana White himself complained about flying all the way there. And I was like, from where? Vegas? On a private jet? What did that take you, 40 minutes? Tops?
He's a man who travels a lot. He does a lot of press.
Yeah, but if you didn't see it or don't remember the Burt Kreischer and Tom Segura bit. Oof.
I said, hit me. Tom Brady is just like another famous not-so-nice guy.
Wait, you mean that notorious team leader who was told he wasn't any good, but he still pushed through and made sure everyone knew his name?
You got it. Hitler!
Yeah.
I wonder if that's going to really, ruin their career. I'm dead serious. Because Kreischer's not a particularly funny stand-up comic. Nikki Glaser was brilliant, and she... does Stern the next day and is set up for this big long run. And another listener told me that she had a relationship with Edelman at one point.
Oh.
I mean, there's rumors flying everywhere.
Yeah. Yes.
But so as much as it's going to improve her career, I wonder if, because Kreischer and Segura were already on kind of shaky ground with their fans, I'm wondering if this crushes it. Because Kreischer was playing arenas. And he's not a particularly funny stand-up comic.
A lot of people watch that thing.
A lot of people like him, Fred, and even if he's laughing at his own stuff and just doing the wild, physical comedy, Dane Cook sold out stadiums for years.
Yeah, but now Dane Cook, I feel too, Robert Kelly brought up Dane Cook when he was here, and I felt bad. I said to him, I feel bad for the guy. He goes, yeah, he got his money stolen, but he's a billionaire who got his money stolen. So I was there is a crash. This has happened before with comedians.
Yeah.
It happens in all forms of entertainment.
Yeah,
you ride too high, and then you think too highly of yourself, and then you're exposed. And then this happens in entertainment, and I'm wondering if this ruins Kreischer's career. He was in over his head. He didn't know his role. He got in over his head. He got out of his depth.
Didn't know the room well enough either. You're on stage with a bunch of jocks, and credit to Jeff Ross, who went out there. He's done a million of these things, And he went up there and he said, okay, I'm up here with a bunch of football guys. I'm going to make football jokes. I'm not going to try and make allusions to being a psychopath or Tom Brady being like Hitler. If you're Jeff Ross, you do the obvious.
Tom, your teammates are all here at the beautiful sold-out Los Angeles Forum. Incredible. By the way, Forum is also how Rob Gronkowski counts to 5.
It's a good joke. It's easy. It's simple. Just, play to the crowd.
He's the Roastmaster General.
Yeah, Nikki Glaser was fantastic, by the way. The one thing we didn't play yesterday, I think out of respect to Tom Brady, was not any of his stand-up that he did. Because at the end of the roast, the guy who's being roasted or the woman who's being roasted gets up and they finally have their say. And it was awkward and stilted and all the stuff that Brady was being made fun of for during the night. Okay, maybe not the Giselle and divorce stuff, but about him being weird and they didn't really know him and him being awkward, all was on full display. There was one joke, though, that hadn't been mentioned. Couple of references made to Belichick's dating, but Brady was the first one to actually make this joke.
Coach Bill Belichick. Everybody asks me which ring is my favorite. I used to say the next one. But now that I'm retired, my favorite ring is the camera that caught Coach Belichick slinking out of that poor girl's house at 6 a.m. a few months ago. Hey, you still got it. Respect, baby.
He is going to be an unmitigated disaster on television.
You think the executives at Fox Sports watched that and went, oh, this is money well spent?
It's such an easy joke. If you ever didn't respect stand-up comics, listen to Tom Brady tell a well-written joke. You still got it.
Yeah, Coach Bill Belichick. Everybody asks me which ring is my favorite.
So they are reading off a teleprompter. And
Yeah,
I
but
guess,
still, just
no,
like-
but hang on. But they couldn't. This is interesting because Nikki Glaser was talking about they couldn't cross out jokes because we had played earlier last week. The guy who ended it talking to Andrew Schultz talking about how during a roast like people will tell your jokes. You don't turn your jokes in beforehand. Like so you have to go through them. And Nikki Glaser was saying how people were saying similar jokes, but you can't go to the producer, hey, take it off the teleprompter. This is up on the teleprompter. But, I mean, how hard would it be to go, like, I had a lot of success playing football. 6 Super Bowl rings, ladies and gentlemen. Pause for applause. And, people would ask me, what's your favorite ring? And I'd always say the next one. But now that I'm retired, I can tell you what my favorite ring was. The ring that caught my coach, Bill Belichick, shirtless, slinking around confused coming out of that chick's house. You still got it, my man. Like, easy.
Yeah. You've heard it once, and you can repeat it. Yep. It shouldn't be that tough.
It's like you're going to be horrible on TV. What you are devoid of personality. You've been conditioned for the last 20 years to be a robot.
That's just it. You can't erase that. It doesn't matter how much you study or how many people you call. You're not going to be good at this.
Because Drew Bledsoe did well. Like, Drew Bledsoe did well. He pimped his wine, which was annoying, but he did well.
He wasn't bad in that. That beginning skit was regrettable, but you get him on stage and he was first, which is not easy. You're up there first. No one's warmed up the crowd. You're up there first, and he was fine.
Everyone was fine, like except for Kreischer, and I didn't see Affleck, but I just heard he seemed like all like riled up.
Well, he was just not funny.
Yeah,
I don't think he had anyone writing for him, and he went up.
Well,
there
Randy Moss didn't have anyone writing for him. I'm convinced Randy Moss didn't have anyone write those jokes. Those weren't even jokes. No. The thing I'll say about Randy Moss that I'll give him a break for is his material sucked. So I think he wrote it himself. So I'll just give him credit for that because it was just. There were no jokes. Like, he was just bad. It wasn't even his delivery. He was just bad. Belichick obviously isn't a comedian at all, and he didn't come off terribly. Like, Kreischer and Brady were the worst. I would say that. I think that's fair to say. Even though Tom Brady ranked third out of the roasters by The Ringer.
Not even.
The GOAT did not disappoint. The GOAT did not disappoint at his own roast. Kim Kardashian leaving the kids at home with Kanye, owning the Colts and Bills, telling Gronk he's not the father of a baby rhino. Brady was in the pocket. He was clearly prepared. What they're he clearly prepared. What they're under the illusion that he'd done a lot of preparation to read the teleprompter. Ay. And then they say best line is the one you just played, which was probably the best line. It was just delivered in an unfortunate way.
Right.
All right. Coming up, young Nicholas.
Oh, that's right. Yes, young Nicholas and I sat down yesterday because, as happens very often, he was going back and forth from one studio to the next yesterday, and you expressed a real interest. I really want to know. I want to get to the bottom of this, why he's always going back and forth. And I said, well, I'll interview him. I'll sit down and I'll ask him point blank. And it may have taken on a bit of an interrogative tone at some point, but you'll hear my interview of young Nicholas next. Yeah.
All right. So we will hear that in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
What do you...
Hoyle stops. Right circle. Carlo shoots. He scores! Brandon Carlo with 21 seconds left in the period. Sizzles one in. Way to go, Dad. Bruins 3, Panthers 1.
That's Judd Surratt here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. In less than 24 hours after the birth of his son, Brandon Carlo scored during a 5-goal outburst and a 5-1 win over Florida in Game 1 of this second-round playoff series. Jeremy Swayman was also outstanding again in net, making 38 saves. Game 2 is tomorrow night. After 6 days off, the Celtics finally get back to work this evening at home against Cleveland. This is Game 1 of their second-round playoff series. Granny and Max have the pregame at 6:30 and the tip-off at 7 on the BetMGM 98.5 The Sports Hub Celtics Radio Network. Kristaps Porzingis out for the Celtics. Jared Allen questionable again for the visitors with a rib contusion. There were 2 NBA playoff games last night. Denver got run over in their own building by Minnesota 106-80. Timberwolves lead 2-0, and the Knicks beat Indiana 121-117 in Game 1. Victor Wembanyama voted the NBA's Rookie of the Year last night. Patriots have reportedly begun a search for the next head of football operations now that the draft is over, and the Red Sox visit Atlanta tonight after getting yesterday off. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by John Sewer and Drain Cleaning, keeping drains flowing for homes and businesses in the greater Boston area since 1976. Go to johnsewer.com. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8:30.
If you've got the app, you've got Spirited Sports Talk.
I have one ear and I got that.
98.5 The Sports.
Sportsbook, make every moment more with FanDuel. You can watch us on YouTube. Search 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube and subscribe to keep up to date with all the best moments from Boston's Home from Sports. You can watch us. And Hardy's on there. Don't you worry. Hardy's watching everything you say. There's a chat, which I've heard can devolve into being very cruel.
I didn't look at it at all yesterday, and I did look once this morning.
I saw you on Instagram, and I read these people are horrible. Like, what'd you do? Did you do something? No, nah. Talk on the radio. No, and so then it swear to God, it occurs to me no one else. There's very few people that deal with this.
Yeah, it's not often.
Not even you two really deal with this.
Not nearly as much as you do, no.
When your name's on the show and the hate starts coming to you and no one else, you got to have the skin to take it.
But Hardy doesn't get that nearly as much.
You got to be careful what you wish for.
Oh, I'm looking at some of the comments.
Especially when you've been hiding and then all of a sudden it's you and the people don't like what you did and they don't like you. You can't hide behind someone else. It's only you. And you better be able to take it, or else you're not going to have a good time. All right. What is this? You talked to young Nicholas.
Nick did not have a good time yesterday doing this, and he's very nervous about you hearing it back right now. Now, Nick and I spoke.
You better be, prick.
Nick and I spoke for 9 or 10 minutes. I have mercifully edited it down to 4. 4 minutes for him to try and explain why he leaves this studio. But
okay, good. So I didn't even know what you were doing. This is all going on without my knowledge. So thank you.
It was your idea.
No, I don't think so.
No, yesterday morning, because in the first segment, or one of the
what
segments,
do I don't remember.
I wanted to know where Nicholas was.
I'm not being cute. I don't remember what I'd say on the air. Okay. I don't recall asking Hardy to interview him about it, but if I did, I'll take all the credit. But yeah, Nick, he's always running around. The phone rings, and I'll look down, and the phone's ringing. It doesn't ring a lot, in fairness. But then Nick's off scrambling around. You should see the emails I don't confront him with. Every day, at least 6 emails. Where is the podcast? Where is the podcast? The podcast is missing. And I don't even bother Nicholas with it because I'm so nice. All right, so you talk to Nick. This is a mystery I've always wanted to know. When he goes upstairs, it means he's taking a dump. That I know.
Right.
The guy takes more dumps during the show.
Yeah. You notice his rump hasn't moved today, though. He's very aware of himself now.
Yeah, he knows the chickens are coming home to roost. All right, so you talked to him about why he left. Here we go.
Do you mind if we use this for a radio? Yes, I do mind that. You mind, or we can use this for the radio? Yes, you can use this for the radio.
He's confused about the question he has to ask before everything.
Right from the jump. He's very combative throughout this whole process.
What is your name, please?
Nicholas.
And how old are you?
I am 37 years old.
Are you really?
Yeah. Why?
No, it's good.
Wait. Hold on.
No, I didn't know you were that old.
Oh.
Okay.
How old were you when you first started at BCN as an intern?
He says 20. It was a long time ago.
17 years.
17 years.
Of young Nicholas.
Wow.
Hardy, did you have an idea of how old you thought he was?
I would have said 30. Like on the nose, 30 years old.
That's a compliment.
Sure.
Very nice compliment.
Yeah, that's good for Nicholas.
Do you listen to the show that you work on? Do you listen to Toucher and Hardy?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
What is your job on the Toucher and Hardy show?
I am one of the producers, but I'm more focused on videos and I guess post-show stuff. So the podcasts, the videos, YouTube.
What would you say your main job responsibility is during the show?
I should be saying...
In fairness, you
man.
tripped him up. You asked him what his job was.
Oh, boy.
I should be saying...
Can you imagine being put on the spot like that? Like, what is your job?
What's your job? What would you say you do here?
How does your wife, like... how often... Get to a microphone. How often does your wife yell at you? This is nothing about her. This is about you. How often does she just, like, lose her temper with you?
A lot.
Okay.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Growing up, did your parents lose your siblings, your dad, did they lose their temper with you a lot?
Yeah. Nicholas. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I could imagine you being extraordinarily frustrated.
I was a very difficult boy growing up.
Very confused boy.
All right.
What was your grade point average in high school?
We don't need to interview Nick. We already have
just real quick. What was
the
your
hat
grade?
on the hat?
You have the audio to get to.
No. Just real quick. What was your grade point average in high school?
It wasn't good. I don't know on the top of my head, but it wasn't good.
All right, very good. Was it under a 2.0?
No.
Okay.
I should be saying it should be no. I guess you would say.
What is going on in that head?
No.
Confused. Listening
It's unedited. That is unedited.
Artie, you edited. You come on. You put stuff in
I
there.
completely just lost where we were.
That is
No.
That is literally birds. Like, you know when they show in a cartoon the birds flying
Circling
in a circle?
the clock. Yeah.
Hachi-machi.
Oh, boy.
I guess you would say one of the main things is answering the phones.
Okay, so during the show, your job is to answer the phones,
edit the podcasts, control the stream for YouTube, produce videos for YouTube, Reels, Instagram.
What was that last one?
Instagram.
Oh, Instagram. I didn't understand what you said. Okay.
Instagram.
Instagram.
In fairness, and that's what he's best at, is he makes great videos for YouTube and Instagram.
Instagram.
I just picture a boggle set falling out of a moving car.
Instagram.
And like that's, I swear to God, like when I hear him talk, I think of like a boggle set, like a bunch of letters, and just someone took the game and threw it out the car window while they were going 80 down the highway. And it's scattered, and you got to pick up the letters and like form the thoughts.
Instagram.
It has been asked why you leave the producer's studio so frequently and for such large amounts of time during the show.
Okay. You can, I could edit the podcast in this studio because it's cloud-based. So I can go on another browser in another room.
Can you answer the phones from another studio?
No.
So 2 of the 3 main things that you're doing have to be done in that studio adjacent to the on-air studio.
Right.
Why is it then, Nick, you spend such a large amount of time leaving that studio?
Well, the reason why is I spend a lot. I have to go into the video editing studio to start cutting up segments or whatnot for social media.
Is that as time sensitive as, say, answering live telephone calls that are currently coming into the show?
Yes, but I've also given...
No, you said yes. So it is as time sensitive to get your Instagram reels up at the same time when phone calls are coming in?
I'm actually interested in what he has to say.
Well, it is in our room.
In our room.
I don't care that he's messing up his thoughts. I want to know what his reasoning is for leaving. Because everything I've suspected is true.
It depends who you ask. Because...
I'm asking you.
Okay. Yeah, they can be. Sure. Yeah.
When do they get posted?
Different times during the day.
Give me an example of a time.
It gets posted sometime in the afternoon.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's later because we do a morning show.
Yeah, because they take time. Yeah.
Time during the show.
Yeah.
What else can I do for you to make your life easier?
Oh. Can I get back to you on that?
Sure.
Okay, great.
If you need more time to think about it while you're walking back and forth between the producer's studio and this studio.
I'm not crazy about that. I have to run back and forth between studios. It sucks.
Well, you don't have to. You just...
Yeah,
you don't have to. You could never leave that studio.
No.
The whole show, you could sit there. If it wasn't to go make boom boom, you could sit in the studio the whole time.
No.
Oh, boy.
Yeah,
I love how he sits in the other room, too.
in our room. You can, I could.
Nick does a great job on the videos. There's no question about it. He does a great job.
The ones that go on
Instagram.
In the afternoons.
Right. That he has to work on.
In our room.
Right.
Well, listen, Nicholas, you're doing A+ stuff.
No.
Yes, you are. Don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah,
Well said, sir. You had
Thank
him
you.
Dead you had him dead to rights. He couldn't figure a way out. He had to admit.
And you say there's 5 minutes you cut out of that.
5 minutes.
Well, I mean, come on, John. It's not 5 minutes of words.
Oh, all right.
5 minutes of grunting and stammering.
It was a lot of stuff like
you're. I should be saying.
Nick's throwing a fit in the other room because he's saying that
No.
he was actually speaking in a British accent and quoting scripture.
right. Thank you again for sitting down with us, Nick.
Well, Hardy, the reason that I don't leave the room is that I have to leave the room is I'm multitasking. See, that's the videos while they're fresh in my mind. When God gives one the gift of an idea, one must act on it post haste. You see, isn't it something that he chose radio?
Yeah,
It really is.
Well, Nick, you do a great job. Watch his videos at the Toucher and Hardy Instagram page and Twitter page where Nick runs them. He does a bang-up job. Good job, Nick. Bob Beers is going to join us in just a moment. I listened to him. He called the Bobrovsky stuff. He called it before the Bruins scored a goal.
Right. He called the Pasternak goal, if you remember correctly, before it happened. That guy's not only ahead of his time, he's ahead of time in general.
Yeah, he's one of the best hockey analysts there is. We will talk to him in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Hey, Hardy.
Yeah, hi, Fred.
Did you know that Dunkin' just released a new energy drink called Spark?
Yes. I hear it's totally revitalizing. Is that true?
Yeah, it's got caffeine, it's got vitamins, it's got mints.
It's got 2 flavors, Berry Burst and Peach Sunshine.
like Stern doing Baba Booey, and I said, and I asked Artie, is there a time that I've done that voice without saying it's me doing a bad imitation of someone doing Baba Booey?
It's you doing a bad imitation of Fred Norris from the Howard Stern Show doing Baba Booey.
And Fred Norris does an incredible Baba Booey.
Right.
The Baba Booey puppet's one of the great things in not only radio but television history. But if you're sending the email before I can even say it, I don't know what you're sending me emails in real time, and it's very confusing to me. I know, I'm aware. I say it literally every time I do the voice.
Give him the benefit of the doubt. There is a delay. There's like a 20-second delay. So
no,
maybe you started.
There's like a 7-second delay, and even so, like you're just the minute you hear it, you fire. I mean, I don't do the voice for 10 minutes. I mean, I probably. What do you say? I do it a minute, maybe. That's even stretching it.
Yeah.
And so, like in the 30 seconds I'm doing it, you're rattling it off before I can even say it.
How long is the delay, Dan?
The delay is 20 seconds.
Thank you.
Oh, do you know why?
3 7-second.
You know why? It's because of Maz.
Ah.
He's got a filthy mouth.
Mm-hmm. Naughty Maz.
As soon you know who swore all the time? Tanguay. Tanguay
Yes.
couldn't. Tanguay would swear going into a break.
Yeah.
Or coming out, or whatever the hell the right term is. Like,
Yeah.
like going to like 98.5, the effing sport. Whoops! Whoops!
Dump it.
Like, he would swear.
Muffy.
He would swear, like, for no reason. Like, even when he wasn't riled up. He'd be like, in the Celtics beat the effing Cavaliers. What?
It's me being
I'm pretty
edgy.
depressed.
That's what the kids like.
Yeah, I'm just so loose.
Zoe and I have been shooting the
Oh, yeah. Oh.
You know what? Shooting the breeze.
Gonna get us that demographic.
Whatever. Go to headlines. I'll be looking for a gig. Dump it. Dump it. Dump it. Dump. 90 seconds. Dump it. Dump it. Party's headline.
It's how you connect with the kids.
Yeah, now it's all about books, where I'm not censored.
He just got up and left.
Why have I always?
Whoa!
I don't even know what I did there.
I can't believe you're.
Dump it.
All right, Bob Beers is the. He doesn't have to deal with Tanguay. He is the Bruins color analyst on the 98.5 The Sports Hub Bruins Radio Network. He joins us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. Of course, the Bruins 5-1 over the Panthers last night. Hi, Bob.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Bob?
Do you hear how complimentary of you I am? Does that ever get back to you how complimentary of you I am?
Not normally, no.
Oh, what? You couldn't piggyback my compliment? Well, I'll tell you.
I appreciate it.
You did it again last night, and I'll tell you why. I watched the first period, then I'll be honest, I had to take my kids to the mother's house. It was that time. And so I was in the car, and I like hearing you. I put you guys on in between periods. I like hearing your analysis. And you said Bobrovsky, even though it was nothing, and to me, the layman, it looked like he was making some good saves. You said he looked a little off. He didn't look like himself. Am I saying that correctly? What was your thoughts of him?
Yeah, I mean, part of that's his style anyhow. He doesn't necessarily make some of the conventional saves that maybe you see some other goaltenders make, but he's a very good goaltender. I thought the entire Florida Panther team was a little bit off last night. But, yeah, there were a couple awkward saves in the first period. I thought he was lackadaisical going back to play a couple pucks. Almost, came back to hurt him in the first period. And, the Bruins kept pushing, and eventually they broke through. So I thought he was good, early, but not like efficient, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And I thought that there were some awkward moments for him in the first.
Is there a book on him? Because it seemed like they went high on him for all their goals, unless I'm mistaken. Is there like a book on how to beat him? And if there is, would that concern you if you're the Panthers?
Well, there's definitely a book on him. I mean, that's they've got a book on every goaltender that's going to play. The Bruins didn't lose last year's series because they couldn't score on Bobrovsky. Just look at the goals that they scored. I mean, he scored 5 goals in Game 6. You should win a hockey game, right?
Yeah.
And win the series. And they end up losing 6-5. So that wasn't the reason that they lost. He was pretty good when he came in relief of Lyon last year in the playoffs, and he got better as the playoffs went on. And I think he's been good so far in this year's playoff. But the Bruins, they found a way. I break yesterday down as Florida's known for their forechecking and causing turnovers and getting their scoring chances that way. And the Bruins, had, 2 or 3 goals off of good forechecks. And they could have had chances for more. I mean, Pastrnak walked in alone. That was off of a turnover on a good forecheck. So the Bruins did a nice job in that area, and they took advantage and, got to the net and had a couple nice finishes. Lorai's finish was great. Carlo's finish was really good. Ekblad was screening him, though. So you get 5 different goal scorers. You have 2 rookies that score. You have 2 defensemen that score. That's encouraging moving forward.
Well, Fred's right, Bob. You see the ice. You see the game. You called the game winner against Toronto before it happened, and pointed out that that Pastrnak was there. Did you also see the too many men on the ice last night? Because it was absolutely fascinating watching the replay of it. It wasn't to me when I saw the replay. I'm like, oh, that wasn't a sloppy change. They literally had one too many players playing hockey.
Yeah, there's different ways to get too many men on the ice, right? I mean, we were talking about that. And sometimes a guy hops over the boards and he just, he wants to get into the play so badly he plays the puck before the guy going off is physically on the bench, and that happens. That stuff happens. Those are kind of like brain cramps, right? But this one was, 6 guys on the ice. Easy call for the referees. The problem is, guys, is that they've been nabbed for this now 4 times, and each time is a little bit different. And it's not always the same situation. But last night, obvious 6 guys on the ice, and referees got it right. Unfortunately for the Bruins penalty killing, they've been so good. With the help of their goaltender, they've been so good on the PK. It didn't come back to hurt them, but they've got to clean that up. There's no question.
Whose responsibility on the bench is it to make sure this doesn't happen again?
Well, it's so. I've been in plenty of those situations, right? It's always going to fall on the coach. Especially when there's 6 guys that are out there, but it's not necessarily the coach. Guys have their assignments. They know who they're jumping out for. Sometimes you get a little confused if somebody's going to hop off the ice, but he actually stays on, and you've already gone on the ice. But so there are different situations. Sometimes it falls on the players, but ultimately the coach is going to, he's going to catch the heat for it. We'll do an interview with Jim Montgomery tomorrow before the game, and that's definitely one of the questions I'm going to ask him about. Why is this happening so much, and how do you clean it up? But there's different ways that it happens, and all 4 of them have been a little bit different.
You were in the NHL. You were an NHL player when you were Mason Lowry's age. I think he's 23 years old. And to watch him play, not only at the end of the Toronto series, but last night, he looks like he's growing up right in front of us. I mean, you can identify with what he's going through.
Well, yeah, he's so he's got a lot of upside. There's no question. He's tall. He's like 6'5". He's kind of, he's lanky, so he's got a good reach. He can skate. I think that's one of his best assets. He's offensively. He's got a lot of, IQ offensively, whether it's coming through the neutral zone and making a play, whether it's in the offensive zone. You see the shot that he had. That was after a good pinch that he had down the boards. I think one with him that they're still trying to work on is to make sure that he's a little bit more firm or stronger in certain areas, whether it's defending along the wall, whether it's defending in front of the net, whether it's making a play with the puck, making sure it's not a soft play, making sure it's, a harder play. So that's still an area that's a work in progress with him, but you can see, the way that he skates and the way that he moves, and the confidence and the coaches, talking to them, he really, he wants to learn. He wants to learn. He's, he takes everything in, and that's a good sign moving forward. Yeah, a guy that can, skate like that and make plays like that offensively, great. And when he's playing with that confidence, that's big. But there are still some areas that they stay on him about to make sure that he's, harder and firmer in certain areas.
For us and for everybody, every fan, who's playing in goal for the Bruins has been a topic of conversation. Obviously, like with the short rest, we weren't sure if it was going to be Ullmark or Swayman last night. Now that Swayman's been so good for so long, is the whole, short of something bad happening, is the whole tandem goalie thing kind of out the window in your opinion?
I try to read between the lines when you hear Jim Montgomery talk, and it's not because it's every other day, right? So they had some breaks in between the Toronto series. But then you have one day off in between Game 7 and Game 1, and it's every other day now up until what is it, game 5 or 6, I believe. My gut, and this is just me, I see Allmark playing tomorrow, if not game 3 when the Bruins come back home. I see him playing in one of those. It's hard to go to him right now with the way that Swayman's playing. There's no question, but I just see, you don't want in a situation where Swayman plays some games, all of a sudden you start to see some leaks, and then you got to throw Allmark in game 7, and he hasn't played in weeks, because we saw that last year. So I do believe, and it's just my feeling, I could be completely wrong, but I believe that you're going to see Allmark either in 2 or 3.
And that's what you would do? That's if Bob Beers is coach of the Bruins and you have this goaling tandem.
I think so.
Okay.
You've got 2 great goaltenders. And Swayman's been awesome, right? I mean, how many games in a row has he allowed 2 or less goals? It's since he's been in there, he's been outstanding. But I just, when they're playing every other day, and there's really no breaks until later in the series, where you have 2 days off, I think that they're going to go to Allmark, either game 2 or game 3. But that's just an opinion.
Of course. I don't think you're talking to Montgomery. You're probably talking to Montgomery. I don't think he's telling you, or you would share that on the air. I think you're safe. Right. I think the audience gets it. Our audience isn't the brightest, but I think they do get that. They don't give me a chance to explain. I know I'm ripping off an impression. All right. So, and that's what you would do. Jim Montgomery, credit for the timeout last night. Can you take us through that as a hockey mind when he called timeout? The effects of that and what you felt about that whole thing.
Yeah, key part of the game, right? It's 3-1. The Bruins took that penalty. I think it was holding the stick on Lindholm in front of the net. So you got to kill that penalty. Kachuk has a great chance to score. The first, 5 or 6 minutes of that third period, I think that there were 10 or 11 shots against them. The ice was tilted. Florida was coming. The curious thing is, though, he took the timeout with just over 14 minutes to go. So if you're Jim Montgomery and you wait, there's always a commercial timeout that lasts for a minute and a half under 14 minutes. The first whistle under 14 minutes, as long as it's not an icing. So he could have waited, and he would add a minute and a half to bring everybody over and talk. But he said nope, he couldn't watch it anymore. He took the timeout. Good on him, because the players reacted. They reacted the right way, and right after that, Brazo scores. So, and that was their second shot of the period, right? Pasternak's breakaway was the first shot of the period, but good on Montgomery. He said he couldn't wait. He couldn't wait for that TV timeout because Florida kept pushing the way that they were going to break through, and that game was going to be 3-2 all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So critical moment in the game, definitely. But give the players credit for responding, but Montgomery and his staff for making that call and getting the right message across.
And just real quickly, Bob, as good as the goaltending was and the secondary scoring was there last night, you concerned at all about sequences like that one that led to the timeout, the 11 shots that Florida got off in the first 5 minutes? There was another stretch in the second period where they had 7 shots in a row on net. Does any of that concern you going into game 2?
No, I mean, that Florida's a really good team. It's going to happen.
Okay.
It's going to happen. It's just how you handle it. How much of it to keep on the outside, how many grade A chances do you give up? And then do you have your momentum swings like that, right? Mm-hmm. You have to push. I was really impressed with what the Bruins did up the ice and forcing Florida into errors last night. So I think both teams are going to have momentum pushes. I think Florida's going to be, they had 38 shots or 39 shots, whatever the final was, but I do think some of that was, like you just said, kind of concentrated into early third, some early first. I think after 2 periods, the shots were essentially even.
Okay.
So it was just that they got inflated a little bit early in the third period, which led to the timeout. So, but I think they're going to have to deal with that throughout the series because Florida is they're a good hockey team. You got 2 good teams going at it, and both teams are going to have to go through that.
All right, Bob Beers. They out there in Plantation, Florida, or Sunrise, Florida, wherever the hell it is.
Playing golf today.
Yeah, he's got to be playing golf today.
Are you playing golf today, Bob Beers?
Let's just say I'll be outside.
All right. It's either that or tanning, because again, as we know,
never going to catch
Bob Beers always has a tan.
Yep.
He has one. He travels with one of those folding mirrors.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, he's out there by the pool. It's like an 80s movie.
Cool.
All right, Bob Beers, you're the best. You guys do a tremendous job. Thank you so much for the time.
We appreciate it, guys. Thanks,
Bob.
Right,
Take care, Bob Beers. I really do like them. I think they do a really good job. And I used to bust Surratt's balls because when he moved to town, he stayed at Billy's house like a homeless person, and for a year. And I actually, I mean, which is really overextending your welcome. I mean, at least get a rented apartment. What are you, 2? But and now look, I think he's. I think he might be the best play-by-play guy now that Gorman's retired in town.
Well, he's not a play-by-play guy.
Surratt?
Oh, I thought you were still talking about beers. Egg on my face.
Bob Sosi on
Not
line
so
one for you.
fast. Bob Sosi's great, but he calls football, which, as you know, is entirely different.
Yes, it is. Much different.
He calls 17 games.
Hockey,
I think he's great, and you know I love him.
And you know what? Hockey is very, very difficult to call. Very difficult to call.
I think that I even think Grandy's good. I find him to be. I think Grandy's a good play-by-play guy, obviously, but I think you're better, John.
Thank you.
And I do. And I think that he talks down to his audience, but I do think as a play-by-play guy, he's a good play-by-play guy.
Real quick stat.
So there's an embarrassment of riches. I'm just in a good mood. Go ahead.
Real quick stat. Bears is asking how many games in a row Swayman has allowed 2 goals or less. 8. 8 straight starts of allowing 2 goals or less. So, respectfully, I disagree with Bob. Swayman's playing too well. You can't sit him down.
It is interesting. So we'll get back. Well, remind me to bring that up again. Bob thinks if he was the coach, he would play Allmark in game 2 or 3, despite the Swayman thing. He doesn't want Swayman wearing out.
You look as good as you did last night. Again, with the second, you managed to get a convincing, decisive win without any goals scored by Brad Marchand or David Pastrnak. And again, it's one game of the series. You don't want to get cocky about it, but I would feel better about giving Allmark a start now that you've got a game under your belt. You got a win under your belt. Okay, if Swayman really does need the rest, and you do want to keep that as an option, do it now.
If you want to talk about it, we got a break. We can talk about it after the break. 617-779-0985.
And hit it.
There's just Hardy's just embarrassed that he came at me, but he came at me with a pop gun.
Yeah,
you know.
Sure.
All right. Here are the headlines.
Sports Up Hit.
Johnny and I were talking about, real quick, Shohei Ohtani. Since he has been, we haven't talked a lot of baseball. We won't most likely until October. The Red Sox have been better than obviously than everyone thought. But if the real Ohtani is the best athlete I've ever seen live. He's the best athlete I've ever seen in person. I've seen I'd say Barry Sanders is number 2. I don't know off the top of my head. But the two guys that I recall going like, oh, Jesus. And I've seen Jordan and stuff, but I'm just talking about my own eyes, like in the arena. Like when I happened to see Jordan, he wasn't like overly like impressive. I've seen Isaiah Thomas a million times. I've seen every major league star that's in the game now. I've seen Mike Trout. I've seen Soto. I've seen all those guys.
You ever seen Tiger Woods?
I have seen Tiger Woods. But when I saw Tiger Woods, I was at a golf tournament, so I saw him putt. And I was sitting at a par 3.
Okay, not the same.
I didn't see the most iconic, the best athletes of all time, but the most impressed I was in real time by the athlete. Living a mindful existence. Living in the moment. Not projecting or going into the past. Going into the past leads to depression. Projecting into the future leads to anxiety.
Oh, yes.
I was staying present.
Past is history. Tomorrow's a mystery.
That's impressive. You stay present, stay in the moment. Not all of us can do that.
Shohei Ohtani is like when I saw him, because you were at the game that he pitched.
Yep.
I mean, it was
impossible
not to.
Shutout against when he was pitching for the Angels. I saw him throw a shutout against the Red Sox.
And I was at that game too. And just his speed, like his speed on the bases, he's real fast. He's big and broad. All right, just give his stats out real quick.
Remember all that gambling stuff he was tied to at the beginning of the season. He is leading the majors in batting average, home run, doubles. He's got 9 stolen bases, one more than Mookie Betts, by the way. He's leading the major leagues in slugging percentage. He's second in on-base percentage. Now that he can only focus on just hitting, he is not of this earth. He is the best hitter in the world at the moment, and probably won't be that far off when the season ends, if anyone can reach him. Think about it. He's not a small guy, and he leads the majors in homers and has almost 10 stolen bases, and he's hitting .370 in the first week of May. That's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. I mean, he's a specimen. It's really something. If you've never seen Ohtani play live, it's a shame he's not pitching this year. But if you ever see him play live, you'll really be impressed.
That's the other thing. He's got a torn ligament. Tommy just underwent Tommy John surgery. Now I understand it's a lot less of a factor when you hit, but it's still major surgery on your elbow.
Well, yeah, they put either a part of your leg in your elbow or a part of a cadaver's arm in your elbow. So
that's got to affect you at some point when you're hitting, right?
Yeah, they're putting something in your elbow that's not supposed to be there. I mean, imagine if it was the ligament of a child molester.
Way to stop the conversation, Fred. Just stop that sumbitch right in its tracks.
Would you take it? No. Would you take it? Would you if the cadaver was of a deceased child molester? It's on my mind.
Oh. I would go so far as to say I don't even want to be in the same room. I don't want to be in the same room as a ligament of a child molester.
Do you think that's fair?
I do think that's
fair.
It's
not against the rules to ban them. All right, so, this is an honest moral quandary.
Okay. I can't wait to see where this
All
goes.
Right. Child molester dies.
Okay.
Whatever they did, right? It doesn't matter. But they're known child molester. They're harvesting their body for organs. Child molester, they take his the ligament that is responsible for your elbow.
And he's got a hell of a ligament for all the evil that he was on this earth. He was blessed with wonderful ligaments.
Would you? And they're like, "This is the ligament we have," but I got to tell you, he's a child molester. Would you let them put the ligament in? I know my answer. Go ahead.
You're given the choice.
Yeah, like they're like, okay, we can't do the surgery, or we'd put in the child molester.
No, I don't want the molester's ligament.
Would you Would you put in the? Because really, it's just at the end of the day, it's just a part of his elbow. Would you let him put it in?
No,
I wouldn't either.
No,
isn't that interesting?
No.
Unanimously, I would say I'd rather wait.
Yes. as long as it's not a life-threatening deal,
Okay,
yes.
so let me ask Wallach this way. There's a child molester who has a perfectly good right ear. He's never had some gross tumor behind it. They never had to drill into his skull and
Imagine.
suck the juice out and just, make him a
And that's
mumbling,
exactly how that works. yes.
half-deaf, borderline useless piece of crap for the rest of his life. And instead, you can have that. You can have that whole side of your head that's worthless replaced. But it came from the skull of a child molester.
No.
Now what do you say?
No, I don't want that.
Isn't that funny? Because you would
But
think
Fred and I would want that because then you'd turn your headphones down and we wouldn't have to hear Dan talking back to you.
John, I think
in
you're
your
perfect the
headphones.
way you are.
Thank you, Fred.
I think he's supremely flawed. He had a tumor, Fred, and now he's deaf in that ear. He's gross.
It wasn't even cancerous tumor. It was like a fake one.
He's gross.
Well, it's not your fault, but ugh.
Isn't it interesting though? What an interesting
I have my CAT scan.
conversation.
You want to take a look?
I don't think it's that interesting. I don't think it'd be interesting if other people would take the ligament. I don't know that anybody would.
No, because you would think that. Well, what it does, it means that you think there's something spiritual of someone's deceased corpse. It is interesting,
Fred. I don't necessarily believe that, but I am open to the possibility.
I don't want to. Yeah. I don't. But no. But I don't want that mojo in me. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
You would think yourself like a science-minded, practical person, but when it comes down to it, you don't want to roll the dice on some kind of mojo.
Yeah.
Interesting. All three of us. Who would have thought? 3 men with college educations would not take the elbow ligament of a known child molester. Isn't that interesting?
I wonder if Nick would take it then.
Nicholas, would you? Nicholas, honestly, go to the microphone. Would you take the ligament of the child molester? No, I want to hear you say it. I want to hear you say it. I don't want to look at him mosey on over there. There's not a care in the world.
I pulled my back a couple of days ago. So
Doing
I'm
what?
Very slow. Trying to start up a lawnmower. So
Yeah, I got to imagine you hurt yourself doing all kinds of common tasks. Would you take the ligament of the child molester?
If I knew beforehand, probably not. No.
Why?
No.
Why?
Why? Because it's coming from a child molester.
Ah, interesting. You repeated the question.
Yeah. I mean,
why? Because would you take the ligament from a child molester? No. Why? Because it's from a child molester.
Then he can't get away from the microphone fast enough.
No, the rate he got to the microphone, his back was a factor. When he left the microphone, the back was not a factor.
He pulled his back out when he was scrolling on his phone. What were you looking at?
Instagram.
It's yeah. He just pulled the back.
You're. I should be saying. It should be. No.
I just had a friend reach out and said, "I will not suffer at the hands of a molester. 100% give me that liggy." So, I mean, there are people out there. This is really an ethical debate.
No.
He's not going to take it. Why? Because it came from a molester.
All right, tonight, Hardy and I will be at the Celtics game. Afterwards, look for us on TV in the crowd. We will be at the Celtics game, and Chris Forsberg is going to be at the Celtics game.
Nick, what if they were like new and improved ligaments for your legs that could stretch things out a little bit, or maybe even a new back lig? How about a back ligament, Nicholas?
Yeah,
maybe.
Okay, here's the exercise.
The heart you can't.
Here's the exercise. All right, here we go. All right, you play Nicholas with the buttons.
Sure.
Doctor comes into the room frantically. All right, we've harvested the heart. We have literally a minute before we would have to knock you out to put it in. Do you want us to put it in?
I should be saying
yes or no. Come on, we have time is of the essence. We're going to lose the organ, and then we won't be able to give it. There's a child that needs it too. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Now everyone's dead.
No.
Now you're dead. The kid's dead. The heart's no good. All because you couldn't get the information out. Now everyone dies. You killed the kid, Nick. Way to go. Live with yourself.
He didn't know that kid. He was staying
in our room.
Yeah. Didn't even bother him.
All right. Chris Forsberg joins us in just a moment.
Toucher and Hardy.
called rising and grinding.
Start your got your finger on the pulse, Fred. Seldom right and never wrong.
Right here. Is that Toucher or is that Hardy?
I know, looks like a poodle. It's an effing poodle, dumbass.
The Sports Hub.
This can be Hardy and I.
Two pals out on the town.
I'm taking my son.
Nice.
Yeah, family man. He's got a baseball game. So it's going to be a bit, and my parents are in town, so that's going to be nice to be away from them.
What time is the game?
7:30, and his game's at 4. So
no, that's what I meant.
Yeah. I figured after I said 7:30. So
Celtics game's at 7. Make
7.
sure you get that right.
Oh Jesus,
7, not 7:30.
I'm going to be late to the game.
Opener of a doubleheader. There are 2 NBA playoff games.
I'm going to be late to the game.
Uh-oh.
I think we're going to be hopefully right on time.
You're going to take the train?
Yep.
You'd make you late to get on the train?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's a choice between that and like driving around downtown looking for parking.
I wouldn't drive down there. That's ridiculous. That's just dumb.
Well,
unless you live like real far away, driving is not like unless you live like in central Massachusetts, there's no driving.
Okay, so you would take a car.
I'm taking a limousine, a nice stretch job.
Yes. See, I won't. To me, that is almost the same level of frustration because you're going to be an hour getting from where we live to the Garden. If I take the train, we're there in 40 minutes.
Can you walk to the train?
No.
Okay.
It's like it's less than
it's 40 minutes to take the train to the Garden from you? That seems long.
It's 20 minutes on the commuter rail at the most, and it's 20 minutes from Canton to Back Bay. And then you walk down and take the Orange Line from Back Bay. The longest part of the trip is Back Bay to North Station on the Orange Line.
I have the same problem. I have the commuter rail right through Natick Center. I can walk to it. Same thing, Back Bay, and then you have to walk across and get to the Green Line.
That's the longest part of the trip is
waiting
for you got to wait for the Orange Line for a minute, and then you stop every 50 feet while you're on the Orange Line.
Yep.
Yeah, I call Andre, and he comes. I say, Andre. I go, bring the car. Me and Francesa split a driver. Chris Forsberg. Who knows how he gets to the games?
That's a good point. I should ask him.
I mean, it's a mystery that needs to be uncovered. He covers the Celtics for NBC Sports Boston. He joins us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. Chris Forsberg, did they allow you to park in that parking lot right in front of the Garden? Or that's not even there anymore.
No, it's not there anymore.
That's not even there anymore.
That's where we do our pregame hits from now. And the big, there used to be the player parking lot. Now it's the big night live, all dressed up. But I am one of those Central Mass guys who has to drive in, and it is the bane of my existence because you can leave at, say, 3 o'clock on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and you're like, oh, this should take, my GPS will say when I leave, maybe 55 minutes, and probably an hour and 47 minutes later, I arrive at TD Garden.
So that sucks. Oh, my God.
Yeah, that's just terrible.
Yeah, it's so bad.
I'm not doing it. I hate it. I hate it.
No. I'd lose my mind if I had to park.
Just when you think you're there, it's like, oh, only one more exit into the tunnel, and then we get off, and then you just sit. You just sit and you move.
And then if you sit in a tunnel, then there's the panic that sets in. And then there is, I tell you, I could be grifted for a $200 parking spot. I would get so frustrated circling the Garden. Like if someone was like $200, like you can get out of the car, and I know he's robbing me blind, I would just take it.
Take a train, take a boat, take some other jump out of a plane if you have to, but do not drive.
And that's the thing with the lift. If on Sturo it gets all backed up around you can just get out and walk. All right. Anyway, that's enough about transportation. Yeah. All right. It's been a lot of fun. Roach says, "Hey fellas, let me know where you're sitting tonight. I'll come and say hi at halftime." That's a promise I can't
pass that up.
Can't pass that up.
All right, so Chris, were you as if you're the Celtics, were you hoping for Orlando or Cleveland when that series finished?
I was probably leaning towards Orlando. While they have given the Celtics trouble, I think they're just younger. I think the thing that sets them apart with Cleveland is that they have Donovan Mitchell, and he's done it on the playoff stage, and he feels like he can swing a game with his scoring. And I do suspect there'll be at least one game in this series where you just can't corral him and he'll tip it in their favor. I do think overall it's about, regardless of who emerged from that round, I think the Celtics should have felt pretty confident. They're still younger cores beyond Donovan. And as long as the Celtics handle the size and some of the physicality well and don't lose their mind, I do think they have the more talented rosters. It's weird, though, to be first off, it's weird that we've had this week off. It feels like the Celtics perpetually have played 6 and 7 game series. To take care of that one as I guess as quickly as possible, despite the schedule being spread out, was weird. And now to be kind of overconfident, but I don't think the team necessarily is overconfident. I just think that from a fan perspective, from people who cover the team, like it just feels like they should take care of business in this round. And I don't know, that's a little bit unique for this team.
You talked about size and physicality. Kristaps Porzingis more than likely out for this series, and no one's really sure if Jared Allen's going to play for Cleveland. So if he does, though, that puts the Celtics at a disadvantage down low.
It's interesting, right? Because you look at some of the double big numbers when they've had both Mobley and Allen, and they haven't been great. It actually feels like their offense flows a little better when there's only single big out there. And maybe even against a team like Boston, they have to think about staying that way just to keep shooters on the floor.
Well, Allen's just a liability offensively, right? Like Allen has, if I'm not mistaken, you two are the experts. Allen is a complete liability offensively. Am I wrong?
Well, Mobley is, I think, more of the limited. Like Allen can stretch the floor.
Mobley's excellent defensively, but offensively he is challenged.
So Mobley is the one that is the liability.
But the point is, like, right, like, is it no matter when you have that combination of guys out there, one's either more skilled offensively. I mean, Jared Allen can bring it defensively as well because of his size, but I just think they're going to have to find lineups that, accentuate their offense, because I think the key for the Cavaliers is trying to find a way to hang with Boston scoring wise. And for me, it just comes down to, can the Celtics lock in defensively against their perimeter players? Can you keep Mitchell from those big nights? Can you keep Darius Garland from going off, which they did really well during the regular season? So one of the things you'll probably say 1,000 times during the series is, like, I'm really looking at Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. Do they take on that challenge in this series, want to be the guys that sort of use their size? Celtics have struggled with bigger, shiftier guards. Can they lean on their wings in a situation like this? Jaylen has talked all year about wanting to be all defense. The numbers have been great. He's taken on that challenge a lot. I think back to round 2 last year, James Harden, like after a big game 1, they dispatched him on Harden, really kind of brought him back to earth a little bit. So he's friendly with Donovan, but I wonder if those two will see a lot of each other in this series. And if Jaylen takes on that challenge, I feel pretty good about Boston's chances.
I'm wondering defensively. I'm wondering defensively how you match up with Mitchell. But the other part of it is Cleveland did beat the Celtics without Donovan Mitchell, and it was one of the worst Celtic losses of the year. The last time they played Cleveland, I think that would factor into the Celtics having a little extra motivation this time around.
Yeah, I think Dean Wade's out, right? So you feel pretty good about them not being able to rally from one of those weird, wild nights where they got really hot in the fourth quarter. But look, Joe Mazzulla said it yesterday. That's one of the things they do is they seem to go on these they'll have a painful scoring lull, but then they attack you. And especially if you turn the ball over, if your offense goes cold and you get frustrated, which the Celtics sometimes fall into that trap where if shots aren't falling, they just lose a step. So I do think that's sort of the roadmap for them. If Strus gets hot, if they just find ways to manufacture points, if Mobley and everybody is getting offensive rebounds and just hurt you that way. So I do think the Celtics have to be alert to that. But like you said, it comes down to perimeter defense, and you feel pretty good with Drew Holiday and Derek White. And can you move Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum into those situations? The Celtics should have the defense to thrive in this series, but they got to bring it, and they got to be committed to doing it. Especially, I mean, it's not only this round, but you start looking ahead to whoever emerges, and obviously the Knicks played. But am I not supposed to look ahead?
No one else is talking about the Knicks, Chris. You can't, if you put on national sports to talk, there's, I mean, you would think there'd be at least one Knick fan out there.
Well, also, you just
I mean, Brunson is the new MJ.
Exactly, but you just gloss over Strus. He's the one who worries me the most in this series. I mean, that guy could just be absent for 30 minutes and then show up and make 3 threes in a row. Moving laterally, shooting to his left. It doesn't matter. It's like when he heats up, that's a guy that can blow a game wide open for the Cavaliers.
Yeah, and you just think you just got through the ghost of Caleb Martin in round 1, and now you got to deal with Strus, who is still motivated from the Celtics choosing Javonte Green over him, and last year with the Miami series. So, yeah, it's something you got to be alert to, and I do think that's just one of the things that has hurt the Celtics is a guy gets hot, irrationally hot from the perimeter, and you don't know how to quite pose that off, or in that game 2 against Miami, the Celtics were not quick to adjust, and they were better in game 3 and beyond. But you just got to be alert to those things. I just don't know if Cleveland has enough perimeter shooting to beat you that way. It goes back to the math game. If the Celtics shoot north of 34% from 3-point land. It gets really hard for teams to hang with them. And I just, that's part of the reason whether it was the Magic or Cleveland, they have to score points to hang with this team. And I just don't know if it's going to happen.
With the presence of Tristan Thompson, will the giant Kardashian that seemingly doesn't have the same father as the other two, will she be in town? Do you have any word on that?
You know what's crazy is like, so this is obviously the first time the Celtics have played the Cavs since 2018. I think Tristan Thompson is the only dude that's still on the roster from that team. Yes. I had forgotten for a bit. Like, didn't he take like a year off and go be an analyst for ESPN? I'm weird how guys, like, you don't see it usually in the NBA where guys just like totally get away. But yeah, I don't have any insight on Kardashian arrivals at the Garden. Maybe when the celebrity list comes out.
There is footage of him at a club, and it's like security cam footage, and he's at this like VIP booth with these three. You've seen it, I think, John, with these three beautiful women, and to be Tristan Thompson, I mean, they are not shy. They are telling him with their hands exactly what they want to do, and there's three.
Isn't that when Fred is in the club, all the ladies just swooning?
It's more of a can we find it mission. They sometimes put money in a pot and see if it can actually be found. Tristan Thompson, they had no such problems with.
No.
I would imagine he's a large individual.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you should see it. I mean, all three of them. It's like it's like they're
I'm very well aware of the video of
like
which you
they're
speak. Yes.
working on a kiln.
Yeah.
Like they're making pottery.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really get a celebrity list of the people in the Garden, like as a member of the press there?
I do not get it. There are a select few that do, but usually it's littered with Patriots and but yeah, like as the playoff rounds tend to go on, the celebrity list tends to get a little bit better, and some of our favorite Boston celebrities make it. They're not all like Donnie Wahlberg and making sure they're present for even regular season games. So they let's see if the other locals can actually show up and bring a little celebrity flavor for this crowd.
Yeah, it's always depressing. I mean, it really is depressing. John crapped on like the Garden crowd, and he's like the Madison Square Garden crowd, and I'm thinking, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah,
any one of them would be the biggest celebrity in the history of the Boston Garden. I mean, we're talking about Donnie Wahlberg. I mean, he's not even cool.
But some of those New York celebrities, like if I have to see one more cutaway to the former Knicks and the '90s Knicks, like there's almost.
But they look so terrible. It's very interesting.
Yeah,
I mean, Bernard King did not age well. What could have been Bernard King?
Yep.
What could have been? That guy could fill it up.
Yes, he did against the Celtics in the mid '80s.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. They had to play at Cobo Hall. Go ahead.
I was just to get that your kid's game done early. You're going to need some time to get to the Garden. I'm a little worried for you.
Well, if I don't see every minute of the game, I'm going to really be upset. I mean,
how dare you? We can't slander the TD Garden audience and then not be one of the first ones. Like we yell at Miami all the time for being half empty at tip off. We need you in that seat.
I mean, I'm gonna make some noise. Don't you worry.
Fred's real loud at games.
Don't you wait.
You just watch.
I'm painting my face.
What jersey are you gonna wear?
That's the question. Do I go retro? Because I might put on my. I got the kid from Miami of Ohio. I got his jersey. What the white kid from Miami of Ohio? The kid that's going to be here. Yeah, Wally Zerbiak.
You have the Zerbiak jersey.
That's the jersey I'm going to.
Wow.
5 minutes he was here.
Yeah, I'm like every other Celtic fan. I got the first white guy I could find. I'm going to put on my house jersey.
Do you want my Yuri Welsh jersey?
I don't even know. I don't know. That sounds like a race. It doesn't even sound like it sounds like a nationality. You know, I'm Yuri Welsh.
It's an illness.
I heard you're from Wales. Technically, I'm Yuri Welsh.
Yeah, exactly. I'm from Supersonic, where Yuri Welsh. All right, very good. Thank you, Chris Forsberg. Watch him on NBC Sports Boston before and after the game. They're out there in Big Night Live. They're having fun. All right, thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, y'all. See ya.
All right, there you go. He said y'all.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a bye thing now.
Yes.
I like
specifically.
I like Forsberg.
Everyone likes Forsberg.
Everyone likes him, right?
Everyone
What's
likes
that
Chris
like?
Forsberg.
What's that like to have a job in sports media in this town? Have everybody like you? There's like,
well, one of those guys just promised to come by and say hello.
No, because Shaughnessy craps on Dan.
Does
Roach.
he?
Yeah, he says going full Roachy in columns, which is not a compliment.
Yeah, that's not.
It's an insult. I mean, use your brain.
And I think, I think Dan Roach would take it as a compliment to say that he is not, universally loved. It's probably good for his ego to think that there are some people who out there who maybe don't care for him even a tiny little bit. It gives him a bit of an edge.
It is funny, though. I told you guys that when people I meet and, like, start spending time with first, like, they like, check out my Instagram page or they'll, like, watch the show a little bit on YouTube and they're like, dear Lord, what are these people? Who are these people? And then I told you, it occurred to me, like, not everyone goes through this. This is odd to some people.
Mm.
The amount of vitriol. Like, talk to Bob or Maddie. One time I sat with Maddie at a bar, Maddie Siegel.
Oh, and started showing him comments on your post.
I go, watch this, and I opened Twitter when I was on Twitter before I got myself off of it, and I mashed the keypad and sent it, and I go, watch. 5 minutes later, I opened it up. What's wrong with you? What are you? The R word? What are you? What are you on heroin? What are you wasted?
Like, kill yourself.
Yeah, go kill yourself. It was just a series of letters. And I'm like, you don't get any of this? And he's like, no, women listen to me. It's like, women don't do this. This is exclusively deranged men.
I remember when we first started the show, we did an experiment, and Rich took a picture of just the two of us with our arms around each other in the hallway, and all it said was, friends, and that was it. And then I remember the responses that we all got were all negative towards you and all positive towards me for some reason.
Well, if you want to
It's
go through
weird.
an exercise, Nick in the station put up a thing like Felger and Maz, and I'll do the read. Okay, so because I know we're running late, but just let me do it. So Felger and Maz and Hardy and I are for charity. I mean, it's not like big philanthropic effort from us. I'm not trying to get any credit for us, but it benefits the pediatric advanced care team at Boston Children's Hospital. Go to 985thesportshub.com/caddy if you want to bid on playing with either show. And so they put that up. It's a fairly benign post. And someone said, you look like a bunch of predators.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's just unnecessary.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I don't want a pat on the back. I mean, all I'm doing is playing golf. It's not like some big deal. I'm not one of these guys who does something for charity and then runs around wanting everyone to, like, kiss my ass about it. But I mean, and especially this, it's just taking a day off and playing golf. I don't mind at all. I'd prefer it to going to work, obviously. But, I mean, even that is just met with such vitriol. You suck. Okay, well, there you go. I don't know why you did it, and I don't know why you're sitting home. Like if it was a clip of the show that was supposed to be funny and you thought it wasn't funny, and you say this isn't funny, what the hell? You guys suck. That I get the impulse of doing. I don't get the impulse of just not ignoring something. Like that. Like I'm like, there's a charity event. All right, this is boring. I don't care, and then you move on to the next thing. The algorithm.
No, that's not.
But it's not enough. You have to, like, it enrages you to the point where you have to comment on it. I mean, you could say, Fred, you're sensitive. I'm really not that sensitive. Maybe I am. But the thing is that you have to admit, if you think about it logically, it's odd. The impulse to comment on a Who's Your Caddy post.
Yes.
By saying a bunch of crazy crap.
Very, very strange.
I get the impulse of listening to the show and emailing you, that sucked, you're not funny, or why'd you say that? You're an idiot. Why do you think Olmark should play in game one? You're a moron. That's kind of the exercise. That I get. Just a picture that says friends, and then people going, like Twitter, there's no point of being on it. There's just no point. It's like there's certain things that they get to a point where there's like, I'm not going to read it anymore because it's of like Reddit or something. Like, I'm not going to go put myself through that.
Well, let's find a couple of mean emails and we'll read them.
Thank you. That gets us into break.
Yeah, see?
All right. We'll do that in just a moment.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
The NBA players have tipped off, but it's not too late. befuddled. That is me doing Howard Stern or Fred Norris doing Baba Booey.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's still funny, though.
I got an email a couple of days ago, Fred.
Oh!
Wanting to know this from Chapa in Quincy, and I think I've even asked you this, but let's just find out once and for all. Are you a Frederick or just Fred?
Oh, I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
I'm Fred Charles Toucher III.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a name that insists upon itself.
Well, you notice I didn't name my son Fred. People go like, "Oh, Toucher's a stupid last name," and I go, "I realize that," but I only got made fun of the name Fred, not so much the name Toucher. The name Fred. My grandfather's name was Ferdinand, but he said no, thank you, and went and legally changed it to Fred. So his legal name was Fred Charles Toucher. My dad is Fred Charles Toucher Jr., and I'm Fred Charles Toucher III. And people will go, "Are you Frederick?" And I'll go, "No." And then they'll go, "Well, yes, you are." And I'll say, "No, I'm not."
You showed them.
Yeah.
Good morning, gents.
Yeah.
Did you catch SNL this week? Nothing too great of note, but two questions. Is Dua Lipa the hottest person ever to host SNL? And secondly, is Dua Lipa way too hot for Hardy's taste?
I didn't realize how hot Dua Lipa was.
Very good.
I got her confused with the real big butt one that was on Dave. Dua Lipa's like really good looking, and I didn't know that. So I was introduced to a whole new world there. Now, what was the question?
Is Dua Lipa the hottest person ever to host SNL? And secondly, is Dua Lipa way too hot for Hardy's taste?
All right, I'm looking at some Dua Lipa photos right now because I'm only interested in Dua Lipa when she's with Da Baby. But that was the one song I knew from Dua Lipa. It was
Oh, yeah,
Dua
Sydney
Lipa and Da
Sweeney's
Baby.
got a better body. I just was told in my ear Sydney Sweeney host.
Yeah.
I mean, they even did a bit about it. They did a Hooters bit. And they had to put the Bo and Yang in a Hooters outfit, like just to make the excuse, like that they weren't just showing it because she has huge cans. I mean, I was all for the bit.
I didn't see any of SNL. My
I didn't see any
wife,
of it
son,
either.
daughter all sat down to watch it on DVR on Sunday night, right at the time the Brady
were
roast was
praying.
starting. And I was praying for a good roast, some lighthearted and non-filthy humor, and I A, didn't get that, but B, I could not sit down and watch it with them.
I can't believe you let your children watch that filth.
Well, they're hardly children anymore, Fred.
You know, there was a text chain, John, over the weekend started by Mike Lockhart because our boy here was a little disappointed because Dylan Dreyer at the Kentucky Derby, you say it.
Oh, she was wearing that hat. I said, and Fred said something. Well, here it's worth repeating. I think
So
verbatim.
Lockhart sent a picture of Dylan Dreyer at the Kentucky Derby that people pretend to care about and pretend to know anything about parimutuel wagering, the height of mankind. And have you ever heard a horse expert on a show? Mad Dog had a horse expert on.
Oh no!
Oh, Haji Machi.
Oh man!
Oh boy, are they awful? Just awful. Like they talk like a cliche. They talk like a detective from a 1920s film noir. All right, go ahead. You read it.
Lockhart sent a photo of Dylan Dreyer wearing her Derby hat and said, "Dylan Dreyer is Derby ready. How many marriage problems will she cause today?" And I said, "A little too dolled up for my liking." Fred said, "Who does she think she is with that?" And I said, "Little Miss Look at Me. That's who."
Yeah,
Gross.
he didn't like it. He did not like it. He did not like that hat.
Oh, those hats. There were women wearing them at the Derby party that I went to on Saturday, too.
Isn't that like if you thought of yourself when you were 18 and go, all right, like whatever, 30 years from now, I'm going to be at a party in suburban Boston where a bunch of my neighbors are dressed up like they're at a horse race in Kentucky, you would go, I'm not going to do that.
I'll do everything I can to avoid that.
Yeah, you would think to yourself, like, there's no way I'm going to be that lame. Like, I'm not going to be that person.
And then look what happens.
But I
like
didn't
not
dress-
girls. Like girls would want to do it. Like I get it. Like
Right.
you know, like I get
excuse.
it.
I can't.
Yeah.
No, I mean you could argue that
But
I
why don't
was
you
the-
marry a guy that can actually get you there? There's over 100,000 people at the effing thing. Go ahead.
You could argue that I was the lame one because I was the only one who wouldn't like play along and just let
So
loose
you're
and have
supposed
fun.
to go out to buy like a silly outfit? Like you're supposed to buy a seersucker suit like someone who should be punched? Like you're going to like walk around like you're going to invest into the whole like charade? It'd be one thing if it was like Halloween and they were like, you know, at least put a sheet on and go as a Klansman.
Well, I think one of my neighbors actually, all he wore was like a bow tie and like kind of a, you
So
know,
he went as a douchey racist?
a colorful
Dandy?
dress shirt.
Oh, so
and
he was like a
slacks.
foppish dandy.
He was kind of like a foppish dandy, and
He
that
was
was
like
the outfit
a man of Louisiana money.
for a couple of friends of mine. Another neighbor of mine wore a hat that he got in Australia because it looked like something you would wear while riding a horse, and I thought that was.
Well,
fine.
he's a dick for getting a hat from Australia.
No, he's not.
What is he like? Oh, look at this is like Crocodile Dundee.
He's the furthest
Big
thing from
proud that you went to Australia, you prick.
No,
why
he-
do you hang out with such jerk offs?
He used to live in Singapore. It was like going. To, it was like
Oh.
going to Mexico for them. It was no big deal. They would go down to Australia.
I know people moved to Singapore. He's one of them.
He was born in India. He
Well,
lived
you know,
in Singapore. He
but-
lived in London.
You know, because you
He's
know
all
why
over the
people.
place.
It's called sex travel.
No, I don't.
Oh.
That's
Wow, thanks
Might
for
be,
clarifying.
that might be Thailand.
Oh, I got it wrong.
Yeah, my sister lives in
I just know in
Singapore.
Singapore you're screwed if you get caught with drugs. That in Singapore, if you get caught with drugs, like, it's a
chewing
big-
gum, walking across the crosswalk when you shouldn't be.
So there is a episode, if I may be so bold, of you can watch it on YouTube, where you can watch our show, called No Effects Backstage Pass, and they go to Singapore and there's drug signs like in English, like on the train, like everywhere, like if you have drug, don't screw around here. If you have drugs, like you're gonna go to jail and you're gonna get sentenced. It's a big deal. And Fat Mike does drugs, gets annihilated, and walks the streets of Singapore looking for more drugs, openly asking for more drugs while holding drugs. And that's an episode of NoFX's Backstage. What are you two talking to each other about?
no. The thing in Singapore, one of the things he's told me is like they don't want anyone to have cars. There's too much congestion. You know, it's very vertical living, and you know everyone lives in, condos and stuff like that. But if you buy a car, he said when he lived there, if you had to buy everything for the car up front, like okay, you want a car that bad? We're going to figure out how much gas you're going to use over the next 10 years. You got to buy that all up front.
Really?
You have to buy all the maintenance, everything. It's like almost like buying a home and getting insurance for if anything should happen to this home for the next 10 years. That's what it means to have a car in Singapore. You like outrageously expensive, and they make it that way so people don't buy cars.
Wait, so you have to? So do you just go to the same place to get gas all the time, and you have like a credit?
I don't know.
My sister doesn't drive, so I don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
For
see?
that reason.
Right?
It's
You
too,
don't even have
too
a car.
expensive.
You have to buy all your gas up front.
You got to buy everything up front. You want a car? Prove it.
And
Prove how bad you want this car.
the cars are in the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
Oh, Lord.
Right. They don't want you driving there.
And
Just like that, Fred Touch would love it. He could just have someone take him anytime he needs to go 4 blocks away. I'm going to hire a car service and be driven there.
oh, my bad. I shouldn't have done that for the show.
I was just going to say, it was pretty damn convenient when we all went to the Revs game a couple weekends
Yeah,
ago.
did you open up your Christmas gifts and then a day later pee on them in front of the person who gave it to you?
Actually, I could see Hardy doing that.
Yeah,
so
I could too.
I
He's a
could
real.
see
You
that
know what he is?
happen.
He's got.
It was a nice
attitude
thing for
problem.
you to do, but it wasn't any more convenient than driving ours. The guy literally parked in the parking lot that we had a parking pass for.
I didn't assume that was going to happen. I thought he was going to drop us off.
Yeah, isn't that kind of the point of getting driven somewhere? Is that you get dropped closer than where you would have to park?
Yes. It
Yeah.
turned out to not be that big a deal. It was good for me because I had no idea that you could park there, but like I would never have found it. Just like was better for me, but yeah, as a collective, yeah,
That lot would have been very difficult to
I
to
never would have.
navigate,
I
yes.
never would have found it
In the
because
back.
I'm an idiot,
In
and
the
it
back,
was just
yeah.
worth not having to figure it out.
Right.
But I would venture to guess that the Uber and Lyft I don't think are struggling. I mean, people tend to use them.
Yeah.
So I mean, there is a market out there. I'm not on an island using an Uber or Lyft. If this is my biggest sin, then I will take it.
But I think a lot of people Uber and Lyft when they've been drinking and they don't want to drive.
So you think
don't drink anymore?
You think it's a business for exclusively people that are drunk?
Uber and Lyft? No, not exclusively, but for people who are going out for the night, I would say well over half of them are using Uber and Lyft because they're going to be drinking.
I think that you use it to get dropped off in the city so you don't have to park. I think that and then when you're in the city, like I think people in the city don't use their cars. Like if I lived in Boston, I wouldn't really necessarily want a car. Like if you lived in New York, wouldn't you prefer to have a car service?
Yeah. I went to college with dozens of guys who didn't have their driver's license until they got out of school.
That's weird.
Because they all were raised in New York City.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Man. Well, you're a Detroit guy. You know? You can't relate. All right. Me, I'm a man of the world. And I know that you can't have drugs in Singapore. That I know. All right. Very good. We will be back.
Where'd you learn that, Fred?
Instagram.
I learned it on Instagram. We will be back with the stack. Here are the headlines. Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. The Stack is brought to you by Best Ford in Nashua. Looking for great deals on new Fords? Go to the Best First, Best Ford in Nashua. Head to the bestfordnh.com. And that's all the reads for the day. Go ahead. What do you got? You tell me.
I was alerted to something yesterday. I'm still trying to track down the video. Apparently, there is some video available of the car crash at Fenway yesterday. Did you hear about this?
No,
I did.
Police and paramedics responded to Fenway Park, a car that had allegedly been involved in a dangerous driving spree around Boston earlier in the day ended up at Fenway Park. The driver went through an opening by the Gate C entrance. And around 8:30 yesterday morning.
That's what we're calling it now, Gate C.
And was trying to get the car onto the field, according to one person I spoke with. Somebody who was working a detail got into a forklift and stopped the car from going onto the field by literally putting the car up on the forklift. From what I hear, the video is like something from a movie. You see people commandeer dump trucks in movies, forklifts, all these strange vehicles in order to continue a chase or thwart something. It actually happened yesterday at Fenway Park.
I wonder what the guy, what do you think he's listening to in the car? Bob Seger? I mean, it's got to be Ted Nugent. It's got to be, like, I mean, this is like a kick-ass Hesher. This is a guy that is... Low-rye. Low-rye picking the top corner. Go ahead.
So there's a photo. The officer who was
the guy going to?
Telling the driver to stop. Didn't stop. Then yelled at the forklift operator, get in front of that car and pick it up. They literally picked up the front of the car with the forklift so it could no longer drive.
There's like zero damage to the front of that car. I did more damage to the front of my car, you know, dropping groceries on it. I mean, that thing is, what is he going to? If you're going to drive on the field at Fenway, floor the thing. I mean, get on the field at Fenway. You don't roll in. I mean, you put the pedal to the metal, baby. We came to rock. And then you do donuts on the field. You don't think the chick in the passenger seat's not going to service you? I mean, you took her. Is there any heights higher than tearing up some turf on Fenway Park? What kind of car was it? Was it at least a kick-ass Mero or what? Was it an IROC?
It looks like some type of Toyota situation. They believe the driver to be 48-year-old Colleen Marie Gibbs from Salem.
What's the name?
Colleen Marie Gibbs.
Oh, it's a girl.
Yes.
Yeah. They leave her. There's a picture of her?
No.
They just believe that's who it was?
That's what they believe.
That's a good Thelma and Louise situation. It's a
like
kick-ass lady.
Did you hear about the Patriots draft pick that or the trade in the draft that didn't happen?
Of course.
And now they feel all upset about it.
Yeah.
What did they think
good
was
news for Patriot fans.
What did they think was going to happen? By the way, we had a deal struck with the Buffalo Bills, but then they hoodwinked us.
We've never discussed it because I didn't think it was a big deal, but maybe it is. Is this new sensitive Patriot team, like everything they say is out of an HR handbook? and like they've really just leaned into this millennial thing.
They were trying to complete a trade with the Bills that would have allowed New England to move back into the first round of the draft. This is according to Cameron Wolf. And they had their eyes on a pair of receivers.
Well,
they were trying. They made a few calls, and the Bills had something at number. They had something at number 32 with the Bills. The Bills had just traded back with the Chiefs from 28 to 32.
Right.
They wanted to get to 32, and they don't know which of the receivers they would have taken at 32. But there were two receivers left there, and the Bills ended up trading the pick, but not to the Patriots. The Bills picked the Panthers as a trade partner instead. It did not go over well with the Patriots. Talked to someone with the Patriots who felt a little jaded. They thought they had sort of on paper close to an agreement with the Bills, and they believe the agreement was kind of shopped to the Panthers.
Yeah, this is a soft franchise. This is like when...
Welcome to draft day.
Yeah, I know. Like, I that's unfair. Like, this is like when Dan told me the kids at Columbia that had barricaded themselves in one of the student or one of the whatever academic buildings, told a reporter that they were entitled to their meal plan food.
Oh yeah,
Well,
during
they
the protest.
Yeah, there were
Yeah.
such hardcore protesters that they thought that they were like, this is unfair. I paid for my meal plan.
We didn't pack enough snacks.
And they wanted it delivered, Fred, to them
Yeah.
where they were.
Unironically,
The woman said
like,
yes.
all right, so you're a badass like protester. You've barricaded yourself in this building. Like, let's go Black Panther style, right? Like, let's blow some crap up. Not literally, figuratively. Like, let's like change the system. Let's go. And then you go in there, and then you're like, unironically tell the media, like, here are our demands. I want my food. I paid for it.
Yes, I want a poke bowl.
It's unfair.
Other protesters.
And I want Sloppy Joe Fridays, and the cafeteria only does it once a month. I'd like it every other week.
Yes, other protesters have been known to go on hunger strikes, even set themselves ablaze. You, on the other hand, want Stromboli delivered to you from the cafeteria.
Gandhi was a big stickler for rules. Like if Gandhi put the money up front, he wanted what he paid for. My parents paid a lot of money for this meal plan. And sure, I'm concerned about the whole situation in the Middle East, but I got to eat. What do you want me to start stealing from the vending machine?
Gotta have my tater tots. Come on.
That's right. By the way, we got a tweet earlier from Ryan Johnston, who was very thrown off by Wallach not wearing a cap today. Wanted to know how we're ever supposed to know that Wallach went to Seattle.
You wouldn't know.
He has a sticker on his wing.
That's right. It's like a passport. You get it stamped when you go state to state.
They marked you so they could track you.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, they told him he had an ear problem, but it was really just a honing device to follow his migration patterns. So that's what you get for leaving. He didn't travel on an airplane outside of the Celtics games for like 10 years. Isn't that
I
right,
think you're
Johnny?
exaggerating just a touch.
His family, his poor kids, they never see the world.
Except when we went to Seattle, Fred.
That's why you
in
went.
Vancouver. So take that.
You wear that hat,
Mr. Fabulous.
to lord over your kids.
A lot of people.
You're still married.
By the way, just
you got me.
I'm well aware.
They have a 2-parent household.
I'm doing my best not to bring that up.
Listen, you win. I've damaged them. I've done all the damage I can do. Go ahead.
I haven't been checking Twitter during the show very much just because we had a busy day today. But someone wanted to say that the cross-examination of Nick was some top-notch lawyering, and that came from an actual lawyer.
Very good. I thought you did an excellent job. I thought Nicholas did an excellent job. Nicholas does an excellent job on the videos. Simply go to at Fred Toucher or at Toucher and Hardy.
I should be saying it should be no.
Also, someone said, tell Fred I went to a derby party and people dressed up, but ironically, I looked like a very unreliable used car salesman who is an even more unreliable cocaine dealer. So
themed parties, I'm not a total stick in the mud.
I'm pretty much a total stick in the mud.
I will
when it comes to
a theme party nowadays, like that I'm sober, like maybe not so much, but like when I was like partying, that can add like a twist because really it's just an excuse to get effed up, and I would have taken any excuse I could get. Now maybe not as much, but I would participate if you had a theme party that I thought was unique. And you were kind enough to invite me, which is a stretch. I would participate. Not a derby party.
Post all the photos afterward on
Instagram.
That's right. That'd be wonderful.
All right. So everyone follow us on social media.
What are the social media accounts? Twitter, Instagram. Do we have a
Toucher
Facebook
and
page?
Hardy.
Do we have a Facebook? I don't think we do.
Who cares? No one I want listening to the show is on Facebook anytime.
No.
I mean, I look at Facebook, but it's really just the two biggest losers I know posting all the time. When was the last time you put something on Facebook?
7 years.
Like hot girls are on Instagram. That's what they're looking at, gentlemen. If you're out there, they're looking at your Instagram. Don't you worry. All right.
Instagram.
That'll do it for us.
Zoe and Beetler next.